Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the Triple Cross podcast. I am one of your hosts, Casey, here with John and Daps. How we doing today, gentlemen?
What up, man?
What up?
Are we live? Can people see
We
us
are
and hear
live.
us?
We are indeed
Oh.
live. People
Okay.
can see us
there we
and
go.
hear us. We'll see if this
the
wide
live
shot.
notification didn't come up for me for like 40 seconds. So that's a good time.
YouTube.
That's always a good time.
Come on, YouTube. Nah, we'll see if this shot cooperates with us. Otherwise, we'll switch up the format a bit. This one tends to have a little attitude with us every once in a while, huh?
Attitude is an interesting way to put it.
Well, how would
do you put like mutable qualities onto, or like not immutable, like personal qualities onto inanimate things regularly? Like you're like that, so. That dresser's a real bitch.
Yeah.
Is that your regular?
We didn't even make it 90 seconds in. We're getting worse. We're moving in the wrong direction. Everybody YouTube says wait 10 minutes before you start cussing, and we're like, you know what? That's pretty hard for us. We can maybe give you 100 seconds. That's a little bit of a stretch too.
Yeah, it's tough. We would not
get to 27 seconds,
20 or 30 only if we don't know we're live though.
I would put the over under at 32 and a half seconds.
Yeah, that's our regular.
Good
but yeah, you regularly do like personal qualities on inanimate objects. That's your move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. It's like, why not?
Just makes life have enough fun. People in your life. You're like, I have to make my things people.
No. It's just more fun. Like, that was really like, I don't know, that was really nice desk, like a really friendly desk, like
it's just like friendly,
it was speaking to me. It was telling me, it was whispering sweet nothings into my ear.
Yeah. And this camera is it's just kind of sassy, not very cooperative.
It's a sassy camera.
Like my second child. It's just like, I like you, but I don't love you. I'm just
Yikes.
John gets it. This is maybe one of the weirder conversations we've used to open the pod up.
To open. Yeah.
We like not to get right into it, but maybe we cut this one short because we're talking about inanimate objects having personalities to them. So
dude, your show, man.
Hey, I mean, only the first half. Then I pass it on to you because today we will be doing a fantasy football mock draft, and then we will switch into NBA coverage, if you will. Can you call what we do coverage, really?
It's not cover. There's nothing to cover.
Yeah, exactly. It's we'll be up to some NBA shenanigans.
I'm not updating
that everything we do is coverage.
I'm not updating yet on anybody's trip to Mexico or the Cayman Islands or anything like that. No summer vacation updates of the NBA. But we'll talk about some stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. But before we do that, we do have a fantasy football mock draft. I didn't give you guys any prep time for this. We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. It's in no way official. That's what mock drafts are all about. It's just kind of wheeling and dealing. So we will be using the Triple Cross format that we've explained from our league. It's a little bit strange if you haven't seen it before. And I have no idea what will happen as soon as I hit the start draft. This is not my usual mock drafting platform, but it was the easiest one I could find to have a closed off one and just invite you guys into it. So, oh boy, what just happened on my computer?
It keeps doing that to me too. It's kind of refreshing a lot,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's a good time. That's a fun time. Before we get into it, just a reminder, every 10 likes we get on the video is a $25 DAPS gift card giveaway. Should be a pretty low key show today. We only do the diehards in the off season. So pretty low key show today. So we're doing every 10 likes. Every 10 likes on the YouTube video is a $25 gift card giveaway to DAPS. We do the giveaway on our private community, playback.tv/triplecross. There's a link in the description. For that, you can watch the show there if you want, but make sure you like the video before you go so we win more stuff because it's more fun to win more stuff.
Couldn't have said it better myself, John. I have some.
How you doing over there, Casey? Yeah, that was
some things developing behind the scenes here that are good. So,
McCaffrey was recently traded to the Jets.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Did you see that? I just saw that notification from Bleacher Report.
You guys like messing with me. All right, so like I said, I was in the middle of saying, I don't know if I actually got it out. I don't know exactly what happens when I hit start draft if the first person's on the clock, but it's going to randomize our 3 spots. They're going to be 10 teams, 7 controlled by computers, 3 controlled by us. Let's just jump into it.
Okay.
Here we go. Kudos
Can
to
you give us a zoom?
fantasypros.com.
Can you give us a zoom for the?
Yeah, and you guys are also in on your computers as well, right? Like
Yeah.
Okay, at least for purposes of actually drafting. So
it says my draft is loading.
Okay.
So it looks like first?
I can see here on the clock team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, team 5. Then Daps is team 6, then team 7. I am team 8. John, you are team 10. So we're gonna be all packed together, boys.
Dude,
like
I don't
sardines.
Where do you even see that? Oh, okay, it's over on the right. I see.
Off to the right,
Adam.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All of the computer teams just drafted, and you're now up. You're on the clock. Yeah.
Okay. So
okay, Daps, take a look at the roster as well.
It
over
went
here.
Jefferson, Chase, McCaffrey, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and now I'm up.
Yeah.
Yep. And check out the roster as well. Like you can see, it's QB, RB, RB. Then there's 4 flex spots that are wide receiver or tight end. Then a running back, wide receiver, tight end flex, and then a super flex. A lot to comprehend all at once. But you're 30 seconds left on your turn, Dap. So feel free to pick whatever.
Yeah. Good times.
I'm gonna go Eckler in this spot.
I like it.
All right.
Do we know if this is like PPR? I know it's just a mock, but like
it is PPR.
Okay,
yeah. It would be if we were playing it out. So I'm gonna just take a quick look around at things here. I guess all and Superflex are the exact same thing. We still got some RBs out there, but there's a guy that I want more than anybody else here. I'm gonna take a difference maker. You could argue Cooper Kupp is one of those for sure. 2 seasons removed from winning the Triple Crown. But I heard there was some injury concern just recently in practice. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on him while we wait on some more news to develop there. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill. Start out the receiving room with a bang.
I like.
John, you are up after Jalen Hurts goes immediately after me. You have back-to-back picks, sir.
Casey going with not going with a running back first. That's kind of wild.
It's usually my MO, but we'll see how it falls this way.
All right, so I know my first pick already. We're gonna go with Saquon, and then I've got the snake here. So what else are we looking at? What receivers do I have on the board still? I don't like Cooper Kupp either. For the same reason. I just, you probably buy him a little low. Like he's already dropped to the second round in our league, but I'm not going to bite on him in the second round. So
is Stafford back? Do we have an update on his health?
He's supposed to be more or less, but
part
it
of
still
what I'm
seems kind of risky.
Yeah, part of what I'm waiting on. So I'm going to go with Bijan Mustard Robinson.
Oh, okay. Bijan Mustard Robinson. That puts me back up on the clock after we had Cooper Kupp follow John's pick. And man, there's still some good running backs.
Those computers draft quick, man. You got to be ready.
You really do. That's why I said it was going to move quick here. Be very unlike me to start with 2 wide receivers right out of the gate. I'm going to probably end up taking a running back so I don't get totally passed up by them. But there's a lot of question marks out there around some of these running backs. So I'm going to go with a guy I think has just an awesome floor, meaning he's going to perform well enough no matter what. And he still has huge upside, but there's not so many question marks around him as some other guys out here. I'm going with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb going to be my RB1 on this mock squad.
Okay. RB1.
Okay, so then I'm going to go Pollard for sure.
Yeah, do you have a running back yet?
I do, and now I have 2.
Oh, now I've got 2.
Getting them in quick. Very smart. Okay, and it's back to you already.
You're back on the clock already.
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
It's quick. Those
so
they draft quick.
Daps took Pollard, after him Stephon Diggs, Jonathan Taylor, Lamar Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, and Devontae Adams round out the second round. And starting the third round, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 2 Browns back-to-back.
Now, I am
Justin
a Jets
Fields.
fan, but I'm also of the opinion that this guy's going to be a top 5 wide
I could
receiver
see
this
it.
year.
I could see
with his
it.
new
Daps takes
quarterback in town.
Right.
Garrett Wilson. Justin Fields, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. Daps takes Garrett Wilson, and after him is Justin Herbert. Quarterbacks are kind of flying off the board.
Yeah, they flew quick, man.
Let's take a look over
I
here.
don't like that.
Okay, so if I'm
You're gonna get
looking
pushed
over
into
here,
taking one.
you know, I'm considering it. I don't like feeling that way. Wow, Team 7 already doubled down on quarterbacks.
Yeah,
that's an interesting move.
Interesting. It was an interesting move. You know what? Like, don't let them sway you. Don't let them move your. You know what I mean?
Really
don't let
makes me
outside influences. You can only control what you can control, and all that mindset stuff.
It's true. I'm gonna go ahead and take a running back here. Lock up this room. Make it pretty good. I'm a believer in Najee Harris. He's slipping down draft boards. I don't think there's too much cause for concern. I think that he's going to be just fine. And in a PPR league especially, I think he's going to get plenty of receiving work in that offense as well. Because I don't think Kenny Pickett's the guy to really drive the ball down the field all that much. So I think he's going to plenty of outlet passes, plenty designed run as well. So Breece Hall goes off the board afterwards. John is up with back-to-back picks. And yeah, man, this is an interesting situation. 2 of the quarterbacks off the board went to the exact same team, and they also took a tight end in the first round. So they're sitting with 0 running backs and 0 receivers after 3 picks. Team 7 doing it all weird. But
yeah,
all right.
I mean, you know what? That's
Team 3 doubled up on quarterbacks too. Okay, there's still a lot of teams.
They're just taking them off the board.
This is wild. This is wild. It is super flex, so I mean it is a viable strategy. We can use 2 quarterbacks.
Okay, I got to take a receiver. And I have the snake here, so that's nice. But I'm not going to get to draft again for a minute, so I kind of have to figure out who am I pretty much good with letting go at this point. Am I good with letting? Oh, this is it is interesting because I feel like I can't talk through it because I don't want to like leak picks or whatever.
Well, anybody you're looking at now is not going to make it back to you 20 picks later, more than likely. So
yeah. Am I good with letting Chris Olave go? Am I good with letting Joe Mixon go? I do have 2 running backs.
Hey, Daps, by the way, Adam says he bought his MLB mystery signed jersey from Daps a couple days ago. Let's go. With an LOL for good measure. Just because it's the internet.
I said shout out Adam earlier because that's amazing. Does Adam know who he got yet, or we don't know?
Adam, question for you, my guy. Let us know. Do you know who you got? Let's check out what these insights say. There's only 1 quarterback left in Tier 2, Trevor Lawrence. Only 1 running back left in Tier 2, Ramondre Stevenson, and Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson are both available as tight ends, but we don't need a tight end proper in this league. You know what? It is a super flex league. They are going quicker than I want here. But I do actually believe in this insight. Trevor Lawrence stands out as the best QB left. Yeah, I'm gonna grab him before it gets to be a barren wasteland of QBs.
Yeah, if it were just the 3 of us, I would I would worry. Yes, I would worry less, not yes. I would worry less.
Yeah,
I would worry. Yes,
I would worry. Yes, it was a comma.
Well, it is super flex, so again, we can have more than 1. Dabs, you are on the clock, by the way. I didn't say it outright. Chris Olave goes after Trevor Lawrence. Basically, one of us is always on the clock.
You got only 40 seconds left, yeah. You got it.
You got it.
Yeah, I want
Devontae Smith, former Heisman winner.
Wow, it is interesting to see him we fly down tiers really quickly with the computers drafting.
4 out of 5 of the last picks have been quarterbacks. I mean, this is Superflex. Welcome to Superflex. This is why we mock, gentlemen. I haven't done a Superflex mock yet this year, all standard stuff. So this is a good exercise for me too. Just a nice reminder of how quick quarterbacks tend to go in a Superflex league. The positions really get pretty balanced out. So anything's up for grabs.
Oh yeah, it's okay. I didn't really register that what you meant by Superflex. Or
that's okay
that it was super flex. I would have went quarterback earlier if I would have thought that through a little bit, but
yeah, I also would have, but that's okay. I burnt myself on it too. Maybe we'll do another mock another time. These move really fast, as it turns out. Daps, you have 10 seconds left. Just fair warning there.
You better take someone.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
that pick right there.
Calvin Ridley, then Amari Cooper, and I am back on the clock. I need to look at my roster here. I could use some receivers, definitely. Could use another quarterback, but receivers wise, let's keep this nice and simple. Yeah, I'm pretty sure going with some high upside here after a disappointing season. A lot of people might question this pick, but this guy's not usually around this late into drafts down the receiver rabbit hole. Plus, we got to rep the Niners. Let's grab Deebo Samuel so we got a little representation on the squad. We needed that position anyway. So, John, you are on the clock, sir. After Deebo goes Geno Smith, just to take another quarterback.
I know. And now I'm like, okay, how much longer will quarterbacks continue to go off the board?
I would say it's fair to say that it will keep happening, because if you look at this draft board, there's still teams that don't have two for sure. So you have to wait for everybody. So
I'm going to take a guy. There's only a few real runners left, and I like a quarterback that can run in fantasy. So I'm going to take a guy I know can run in Dan Jones. Dan Jones is good at football.
I mean, he's better at cornhole, I heard, but
yeah,
he's fine at football, I suppose.
I know you say that every time. That's our joke. It's our inside joke.
Well, I mean, he actually is good at it. So, John, back up again with your second pick.
Yep.
40 seconds left. What are you thinking here? You're sitting stout with 3 running backs already. So, already using up that flex spot on a running back. We have no bench here anyway. So, I'm
gonna make a bet on Sean Payton and go with Jerry Jeudy.
Hey, I like that.
I'm betting more on Sean Payton than I am on Jerry Jeudy. And I really honestly, like, my strategy here is very clearly light on receivers.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen. This league, that's sometimes tough to navigate because you need at least 4, at least between receivers and tight ends. I actually would have taken Chris Godwin if he was still there, but instead, I'm going to just go ahead and go with D-Hop, new member of the Tennessee Titans.
Yep,
should be the alpha there.
I am him as well, but they run a lot, you know.
They do, and I wouldn't take a depth receiver there, but given that he's coming in to be the one, I feel okay about it. So, all right, we can no longer see which team is. Oh no, we can. It's up there at the top. We good. All right, Dap's back on the clock after taking Aaron Rodgers. Rounding out that, what was that? The 6th round. Jahmyr Gibbs went after D-Hop. Aaron Rodgers, Daps took. Then Ken Walker, DJ Moore, Mike Williams, Kirk Cousins, and Drake London. Starting off the 7th, Terry McLaurin, TJ Hawkinson, Christian Kirk, George Kittle, and J.K. Dobbins. And Daps selects Dameon Pierce. Daps, you like Dameon Pierce? What do you think about him?
I definitely like him as a 3rd running back for sure. It's obviously a question mark over in Houston with their O-line, just the team in general, the young quarterback. But, you know, usually with a young QB, you're definitely going to be run heavy. So I like the amount of touches, the potential he can get over there. I think he had a pretty decent rookie season. So I like the potential of his sophomore breakout.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I actually agree. I think a lot of people have kind of softened on him a little bit. Just because there's a little bit more competition this year in that backfield and a little bit more of a question mark just overall on that offense, given that they drafted a rookie quarterback. But I think that's going to benefit him as much as anything. You know, he's the most talented guy there. So I'm going to go ahead and take Tyler Lockett here.
That's who I was eyeing.
Steady Eddie, basically.
That's who I was eyeing.
As we're already down to the last 2 picks, or at least I only have 2 picks left. Make sure you fill out your roster. I wish this didn't just say flex.
I'm gonna make another big bet here. Like this, I feel like could be the value pick of the draft, or it could be a big time flop. Going Anthony Richardson, like,
hey, that's huge upside.
Yeah, huge upside. 2nd quarterback. It's very clear that I'm relying heavily on the run. So, all right, what do we got in WR1s? Not much.
Is it your pick right now?
It's my pick again. Yeah.
I don't have a great way to look at your guys' rosters, but John, which spots do you have empty here?
I'm looking at receivers. I'm trying to get someone who I think will get a good number of targets at least.
Casey, if you hit the drop down on your name to the left, I think you could switch the team out.
Oh, hey, good call. Good call. Let's take a look at John. Yeah, John, you just need receivers left. That's all you can have. So
Yeah.
receivers or tight ends.
I think I'm going here. I think he'll get targets.
Brandon Ayuk. I was looking at Ayuk for my last pick, but the fact that I already had Debo, not going to double down on the same receiving core like that. So let's take another look at my team here. So I can use basically anything for my last 2 picks because this is like the true flex, running back, receiver, tight end, and then this is the super flex, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. So I'm wide open here. There were definitely guys that I liked all over. Man, there's some value to be had here. Let's go ahead and say, man, this guy's just a standout to me. There's a couple standouts, but I'm going to go with Miles Sanders here. Again, he should be the main guy in his backfield, so that gives me a lot of confidence. In Carolina now, not in Philadelphia. So that's a little bit of a new look offense. I think those offenses tend to have to rely on their like A1 running back a lot more. So Daps, you need either a receiver or you can have anything basically because you still have a super flex open. So, but you will need at least one more receiver in your last 2 picks.
Just checking around. I really like the potential of this kid, but I'm worried about his quarterback.
I know who you're looking at, I think.
And because of that, I think I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to go. So I could take another running back here, right?
Yep, that would be your super flex spot.
Yeah, so I'd probably go Madison right there, just because of his RB1 status now. And then another thing that I love to look at, and I'm looking at sharpfootballanalysis.com right now, is strength of schedule. Mm-hmm. So the NFL teams with the easiest schedules in 2023, 1-5, are the Saints, Falcons, Colts, Panthers, 49ers. And the one that rings out to me the most is the Niners, just because they're the best team on that list by far. So, it does make you think, oh, do I want to take a Saint in a particular position, or do I want to take a Panther because I'm going to be facing weaker defenses, right? And what I like to do even is check out the first 3 weeks of who they're playing, because if you could get that 2-1, 3-0 lead to start the year, that's big. I think that's big. So I like this guy too. This kid had a decent year last year.
All right, Jahan Dotson. Yeah. Young, talented receiver. I think it remains to be seen who emerges as the biggest threat on that offense. A lot of people hand it to Terry McLaurin. I think Dotson could make a run, to be the alpha there. All right, back to my team. Yes, I am up with my last pick here. This draft really flew by. Haven't really had a lot of time to think around it. I'll look at some other stuff like bye weeks here, even though we're not playing this out.
Those AI bots, they draft fast.
Yeah,
they really do.
They're quick.
You
pick and then you're up again.
They already know what they want.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just go on brand here. I think I'm gonna have to maybe. Here we go. Here's my guy. We're gonna get a stack on Deebo Samuel. If we had a bench, this guy would probably end up on the bench. But just to round out the draft in true KC fashion, make a little controversial pick. And Brock Purdy as the Superflex starter. You knew I was going to do it, but I saved it for the last round.
And John, in a flex spot, can I take a running back?
Let me check your team real quick, John. No, there you need a receiver. You only have 3. You need a receiver or a tight end.
It can't be a running back in a flex.
Correct. Not that flex.
Okay.
This platform doesn't distinguish between receiver flexes and the. Oh, you can see it if I just leave it on.
What's going on with Alvin Kamara?
That's what I was
talking
looking at.
Talking to Roger Goodell. I think today or yesterday. I don't know. It seems like a suspension's coming his way, but who knows how long? It's kind of way up in the air. Kind of high risk, high reward. But honestly, even last year, the games he did play, he kind of fell off a little bit from his usual production.
What did he do? He hit a fan? Or he hit some guy at a bar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was during the Pro Bowl. John, did you finish this off?
I did.
And let's see, who'd you get here? George
went
Pickens.
George Pickens. I was thinking about taking a flyer on Kamara, and just, depending on what his suspension is, he could have pretty high trade value later. But since it's a mock draft, I won't, because it'd be like a bad draft grade. But if it were a real draft, I might have taken a flyer on him and just been like, all right, let me sit on him and see if he's got trade value later in the season.
Well, the projected standings have Team 5, Team 4, and Team 3.
Yeah,
two,
those
three
AI
spots.
teams crushed us, guys.
Those teams that took the quarterbacks early, they got in on the run, while we didn't really. But that's okay. You know what? That's why we mock. This is a little bit different format too. I made this format to almost confuse people with fantasy football experience, so that it would allow more like newcomers to kind of come in and be competitive too, if they just kind of take the next top guy or whatever that the platform suggests. This platform threw a little curveball, since it didn't really differentiate between the flexes for us, so it made it a little touch and go. But we got there. And so let's just do a little recap of our teams here. I'll start. I'll just go position by position, I think. So for my quarterbacks, I have Trevor Lawrence as my QB1 and Brock Purdy as my QB2. My running backs, Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, and Miles Sanders will be my group of 3 there. And for my receivers, I have Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tyler Lockett. Which one of you guys wants to go next?
Sorry, I was just putting a little comment there in the chat, but all right, nice. I will go. So I got Dan Jones, who is good at football and cornhole, in my QB spot, QB1. And then I've got Saquon Barkley and Bijan Mustard Robinson in my RB spots, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Ayuk, and George Pickens as receivers. My receiving core, not strong, but just kind of mid to solid.
It's a bit mid.
Joe Mixon in my other RB spot, my other flex spot. My RB room is great. I'm very happy with my RB room. And then my flyer, Anthony Richardson, in my super flex.
Yeah, when it comes to Superflex, an extra quarterback there is a good idea. And had we
there's a lot of speed on my team, a lot of running on my team.
We would have filled a lot of the spots that aren't as strong on our teams with some extra bench help probably. But just to make it quick and easy, I probably could have gone the full teams knowing how fast this moved. But we didn't do benches today. So and Daps, let's check out what you got here. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce your team.
A-Rod in the QB spot. Eckler, Pollard, RB1 and 2, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, wide receivers 1 through 3, Dotson, backup receiver, and then Alex Madison and Dameon Pierce, who I believe are both going to be their respective running backs, RB1s on their team.
Yeah.
So if I was in my home league and this was my team, I'd be pretty happy right now. That is a 12-team league, so I don't think
you wouldn't end up with this.
But I'm very surprised to see that Aaron Rodgers is as far down on draft boards as he is. If Aaron Rodgers was a top 3 or top 5 fantasy quarterback, I don't think anybody's surprised. I think that there's a tremendous amount of value where he is.
Could be. Yeah, there's question marks, though. I think that's why. Also, he doesn't run. So, I think a lot of fantasy players like to get their running quarterbacks, but...
Yeah, I would say this format, I mean, obviously it changes up when quarterbacks go, and this being a 10-team league, like you mentioned, Daps, that changes things as well. But middle of the 6th round, the only real way to put that into context is that he went after Daniel Jones, but right before Kirk Cousins. I think that's pretty generally where he goes, no matter what format, like when it comes to quarterback position. So this is pretty par for the course that I've seen in drafts. You know, he's going well after guys like Dak, Tua, Geno Smith a lot of the times. So I agree with you. I actually think A-Rod is one of the bigger values when it comes to quarterbacks, especially late. A lot of people like the late quarterback strategy. So if you're looking to do that, I would just say if you're going to wait on a guy like Rodgers, even in a more conventional league, maybe pair him with a guy that has some upside that you think isn't going to do that like immediately. A guy like Anthony Richardson pops into mind too. If you could make a little QB room of A-Rod and A-Rich, I mean, I think that would be like a great pairing for like
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is going to be that steady guy you can put in whenever. If Richardson comes in and sets the world on fire with his rushing, then maybe you find yourself in a better position going forward with him. But that's how I would look at drafting A-Rod, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like it. I put a poll in the chat. Who do y'all think has the best team? 3 Walketeers thinks it's Daps. Elisa says A-Rod doesn't need to. He's got the Jets. He won't need to run. I'm not saying he needs to run. I'm just saying people like the quarterbacks who can put it on the ground in fantasy because they have that extra capability of getting yardage, and they can get rushing touchdowns, which is big.
Yeah, I mean, specifically guys like a Josh Allen or a Jalen Hurts. That's why they're up there in the tier with Patrick Mahomes, always at the very top of drafts, because they're going to fall into the end zone, maybe 10 times this year from the 1 yard line. So,
for sure.
I like it.
That's
all right.
Fun.
Well,
good job, Casey.
Thanks, John. That went incredibly fast. I thought that would take a lot longer. John, I know you had something prepared. Do you want to pivot to doing that now, or should we go straight into basketball? What are you thinking? I'll let you
into hoops. No, we can play some heat check.
Okay, yeah. I mean, now I know for the next time we do a mock draft, because we'll probably do at least one more, I would think, before like real fantasy football seasons are starting. This was a helpful exercise for me to actually get in a Superflex mock. You can't do a Superflex mock on any given platform. So we'll have to learn us up some fantasy. What is this one? Fantasy Pros. Yeah, fantasypros.com. A little shout out. If you got a Superflex draft you need to prepare for, this is one of the few platforms you can actually do that. So check them out.
All right. So I think, will we go straight into the view that we want here if I show? Nope, not quite. But all right, there we go. All right, we're going to, sorry, I leaked the first one. We're going to play a game we call Heat Check. You'll get it. Casey will go first, and Daps will get it. You'll understand the game after Casey goes.
Casey looks excited, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's a fun game. I've never been on the playing side. I always put the game together for the NBA guys.
Yeah,
and they play, and I host. So
here's the rules of the chat. You guys in the chat can play along. Please do play along. However, do not Google it, or if you do Google it, don't say you Googled it because that's lame. So
if you Google it, just go to PlayBack and leak the answers to me.
What you will find as a player, Daps, is that you cannot trust the chat. They don't know any better than you do. Most likely, they know worse.
Believe it or not, I've ran a TikTok live stream for about 3 years, and the chat doesn't always tell the truth.
The chat are liars. But if you guys do Google it in the chat, definitely don't chat in like, I Googled it, it's this. That's lame. But go ahead and Google it. Go ahead and play along. It's more fun to play along without Googling
We'll be watching live sports during the live stream, and people will just say, like, Dak Prescott broke his leg.
Like yeah. Well, it's because they're trying to mess with other people in the chat. Exactly, I do that I actually do that to Casey sometimes.
Yeah. So
one more little news update here for you, Daps. One of our PlayBack community members, Razzles, said that she purchased an Arizona Cardinals football pack from Daps last week. I don't know if she means she got in like on the Cardinals in a break or if it was an actual pack, but
no, we wouldn't sell a Cardinals pack, so she would have bought the Cardinals in a break.
Got the Cardinals on a break.
And we actually, not to plug, but just because it's so cool, we just purchased all of these incredible autographed rookie cards, RPAs, which are rookie patch autograph cards, a number of cool cards, and it's an equal distribution of every single team. So if you purchase the Cardinals, you could end up with a DeAndre Hopkins gold rookie that's worth $500. The Cardinals generally tend to sway a little cheaper because there's no big rookies the last couple of years. So anybody who's a fan of a team, if you want to get into a break, look out for these things called Hit Lockers on TikTok. Hit Locker, like Foot Locker. We actually might have been using some of the...
Kind of looks a little like Foot Locker.
It looks like it. Yeah. We'll say that's what it is.
Yes. Explain what a patch is, though, real quick.
So both Topps and Panini manufacture cards, and they can actually take a piece of a jersey and put it into a card and then have a player, the athlete, sign that card. So game-worn mem is obviously more desirable than non-game worn mem, but depending on the product, the more high-end the product, the more or the higher chance you're going to have a game worn piece of memorabilia in your card.
Yeah. Dope. So yeah,
the AZ didn't have any like significant rookies in the last few years, you might say. Man, if only. I mean, thank God they left Nick Bosa for the 49ers at number 2 a few years back. That was it's quite nice.
So yeah, just a reminder, every 10 likes on the video. What are we at right now, by the way? 13 likes. So if we hit 7 more likes, we'll do a spin for a DAPS gift card giveaway. We're giving away $25 gift cards to DAPS Sports. It's weird to call it DAPS because we also call you DAPS. We need another thing to call you. Giving away $25 gift cards to DAPS Sports every 10 likes on the video. So get the likes up. All right, Casey, you're up. Let's play.
Let's play.
Chat, feel free to play along, but don't tell us if you Google it. First up, I'll say it for the audio listeners. Mike Evans had 1,124 all-purpose yards in 2022, so the 2022-2023 season, just to be clear. Did Leonard Fournette have more or less?
Dang, all-purpose. Hitting me with the all-purpose yards, which clearly everybody thinks through a ton. Man, I imagine it's close just by the nature of you even matching them up together, which I would have thought anyway. My gut takes me one way, but I don't know if that's right. But I think I'm going to stick with my gut. I'm feeling Mike Evans just by seeing that number. I know Fournette, he doesn't have to have an incredible season. Gets a lot of dump off passes, but I think last year was a pretty down year. I could see him maybe not quite of hitting that 1124 number in all-purpose yards. So it feels like I'm going against my brain, but I'm going with my gut pick with Mike Evans, 1124. Lock it in.
Lock it in. All right. Mike Evans had 1,124 all-purpose yards. Leonard Fournette had more.
Dang.
1,191 all-purpose yards. Also, chat, help me keep score here. So Casey's got 0. Now DAPS is up. Leonard Fournette had 1,191 all-purpose yards last season. Did Amari Cooper have more or less?
I think Amari Cooper had more yards.
Amari Cooper had more. You care to expand, or you just like you're feeling it?
He was
feeling it.
I had him on a couple fantasy teams. I thought he was extremely valuable in his position last year, and he crushed it in a number of games for me. So I could be wrong on this, but I know that he had some big games last year.
Yeah, I mean, you got it's all-purpose yards, not TDs, but. Right. So DAP says more. Leonard Fournette had 1,191 all-purpose yards in 2022. DAP says Amari Cooper had more. The answer is, oh, that's the wrong thing.
That is
these got out of order, which is a real bummer.
Yeah, you gotta QA those. I should have mentioned that.
You got a what?
When you upload in a batch, sometimes they upload out of order.
Yep. Okay. So I just gotta find the numbered. All right. So Amari Cooper had less.
Oh,
Leonard Fournette was surprisingly good. You guys both underestimated Leonard Fournette.
Well, I would have when Casey guessed, I was gonna guess Leonard had more than Mike Evans. I will say that. But
good thing you didn't get that one.
We're talking 70.
Yeah, I mean, I would have put them in the same one if they weren't close. Yeah,
yeah. John.
I don't do any.
John made it
obvious
ruthless
ones.
for sure.
That's the game. There's no obvious ones.
But this isn't even close to obvious. This is like borderline.
Yep.
We're talking about.
Yeah, no. This is like, oh, you think you know the NFL kind of stuff.
Yeah,
this is how it goes.
No, this is if you know the NFL, you can still get this wrong.
Yep,
that's exactly what I mean. Oh,
that's the point. Yep, that's the point of the game. Yeah. You got it now. You're up to speed now. Okay,
we're splitting all the hairs on this.
Amari Cooper had 1,160 all-purpose yards last year. Did Ken Walker III have more or less? To you, Casey, score is 0-0.
Ken Walker, rookie season. I'm trying to think if he missed much time at all because, he's not as much of an all-purpose back as Uncle Leonard Fournette, but I have to imagine he rushed for a ton more yardage than Fournette last year. So based on the fact that he's a running back, I want to say more. I'm just trying to remember if he missed many games is the issue because the Seahawks running back room is constantly 2 out of 3 of the main guys are injured. That's how you ended up with like guys like Travis Homer and DJ Dallas running the ball for them like late in the season. I mean, I can't talk. Our quarterback.
I mean, I went to the conference. You should know. Anyway. So
yeah, no. It's basically did he play the whole season or not? I think if he played 16 plus games, he definitely hit this mark. I'm gonna go ahead and have faith in the RBs this time. I got burnt by an RB already. Let's go ahead and go Ken Walker. I know he didn't get a ton of receiving yards, but I think maybe just enough.
Okay, Amari Cooper had 1160 all-purpose yards in 2022. Did Kenneth Walker have more or less? Casey says more. The answer is more.
Oh,
There's a little jump there. Ken
I'm
Walker
thinking
had
Arby's.
1,215. That's a jump for this game so far. Like 55 more yards. 1,215 all-purpose yards in 2022. Did Tony Pollard have more or less?
You just drafted him, Daps. You just drafted
Tony
him.
Pollard had such a good season last year. The only thing that's making me question this is the split backfield.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to go more with Pollard.
All right. Ken Walker, the third, 1,215 all-purpose yards. Dap says Tony Pollard had more. The answer is
more. Yeah,
what?
it was more.
Oh. Did I not have that one in there?
No, that's it. You're right. It was more.
My graphic is not changing. Is the graphic changing for you?
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Yeah. Now it is. Now it's CD.
Yeah.
So now it's 1-1.
Yep.
And Casey has to look at Cowboys, which makes me feel good inside.
Mhm.
The split.
Well, I can't
backfield
see the
was a
new
thing,
graphic.
but-
So do you want to read it, Casey?
Sure, I'll read it off. But I will say, Daps, I think Elliott missed enough time to where, Pollard was, he had a little breakout for himself last year for sure. All right, Tony Pollard had 1,378 all-purpose yards in 2022. Did CeeDee Lamb have more or less? That is the question posed to me right now. And this one's tough. This is, again, you're pitting teammates against each other.
Different position. This is why all-purpose is fun.
This has been 2 out of 3 of my questions so far have been teammates. Who has the most all-purpose yards basically on their team, because it has to be these two guys. CD, man, he probably is real close, probably really close. But Pollard had such a good season. I can't imagine CD ran for that many. Almost 1,400 yards would be so much through the air. Maybe he did it.
This game,
but I'm going to say,
an incredible game.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm making Casey choose between Cowboys. I make sure to include 2 Cowboys in a row, so Casey would have to get at least one.
Can I say Christian McCaffrey had more? No, I'm going to stick with TP, Tony Pollard. Final answer.
Okay. So Tony Pollard had how many? I can't see it still.
1,378.
Okay. You say that CD had more? No, you said that CD has less.
Correct.
Okay. And the answer is, I don't know if it's going to show for me, but here's the answer.
Oh,
more.
Wow.
He did have
CD
more.
had CeeDee Lamb had 1,406 all-purpose yards in 2022. By the way, this is a little fantasy-y, because a lot of these guys are guys who are going 3rd round, 4th round, kind of. So it's just kind of thinking through as you're. Sometimes you got to set your assumptions aside, right? Like I think the reason I put Leonard Fournette in there is because I think a lot of people are way lower on him than he actually performs. He's like very steady,
Well, losing Tom Brady isn't going to help his value either.
No,
and he's not.
No, I mean, I'm not saying draft him this year. I'm just saying, check your assumptions.
I think he's still a free agent this year too, so definitely draft with caution, if at all.
Yeah, this is not investment advice, but I'm just saying
this is not financial or legal advice.
This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not even a geologist, so. I am just saying, sometimes the things you think are not accurate. Is it your turn, Daps?
It is. I'm 1 for 3, by the way. I'm still
at
1.
So CeeDee Lamb had 1,406 all-purpose yards in 2022. Did Dalvin Cook have more or less?
Dalvin Cook had less yards than CeeDee Lamb, all-purpose.
All-purpose. You're confident. Okay. The answer is more.
Wow.
Dalvin Cook had 1,475 all-purpose yards.
My confidence was in the fact that Dalvin Cook does not have an NFL team right now. Like, imagine that.
I mean, it's last year, though. We're not talking about this year.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Your last year's performance should signify the contract that you received the next year.
Yeah. Well, that's running backs for you, I guess.
Not for running backs.
And you can't even get signed to any team, and you have more yards than CeeDee Lamb, who is like, what did we just say?
Who has more yards than Tony Pollard?
But I think CeeDee Lamb also was listed 8th on all receivers list.
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
That's being a
And
running.
this guy
That's
can't
the
get signed by all 30 teams, not
Yeah.
even as backup.
that's the world of running back. Well, I think it's more that they're just not paying him what he wants, right? Is that, I mean, he could get signed by somebody if he wanted to.
I guess what I would say is when you put everybody on a list of how many yards they've had or their significance to their team,
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook must have an argument. Hey, here's the top 20 all-purpose yards in the league.
Yeah.
This is where I am. This is the average price point
Yeah.
of what they get paid.
Yeah.
And they're offering half.
And they're like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody will do it.
WTF.
But that, I feel like football negotiations go that way more, where they're like, all the owners and coaches are like, don't reset the market. Like they kind of like band together not to reset the market. You know what I mean? More often we're in basketball, they just like, yep, reset it, get him.
Yep. Right.
The NFL is picking up the trends of the NBA, and yeah, the markets are getting reset like constantly, except for the running back market. But you said he's teamless. That is true right now. I mean, as of this moment, I think still as of when we started.
But
the
pitting
show,
him
George,
against a future potential teammate here.
I think that might be the case here.
What's that?
You know who the favorite to land Dalvin Cook?
I think it is Miami, isn't it?
It was the Jets by a mile, but
Mhm.
then he left New York, which most people did not anticipate. So I think it's back up in the air again.
Okay. So Dalvin Cook had 1,475 all-purpose yards last year. Did Jalen Waddle have more or less to you, Casey? What's the score right now? Is it 1-1 still?
Yeah, did you just miss your last one? Yeah, you did. So
Yep, we did.
we're both 1 for 3. Man, this is such a big number.
It's hard.
Jalen Waddle, okay. I mean, I'm not a Cowboys guy. We already know Dalvin Cook beat out C.D. Lamb, and Jalen Waddle, I do think is just as talented, maybe more talented. Who knows? They're right there as far as receivers go. But this number is just so high for a receiver to get to, especially when you have Tyreek Hill already on your team. You're not the main target.
I had the same thought process.
Yeah, missed your quarterback for a good amount. I mean, they were playing that one dude, Skyler. You don't even get a last name in the NFL if your first name's Skyler. So I don't remember what it was. Skyler Thompson or something like that.
Skyler, yeah.
For those reasons, it's not representative of his talent or anything like that. I'm going to stick with Dalvin here. I think let DC cook. And yeah, let's say he's going to the Miami Dolphins just to make a actual superstar out of him. Stay a superstar, I guess.
Okay, so Dalvin Cook had 1,475 all-purpose yards last year.
So less.
Casey says Jalen Waddle had less. The answer is less. Jalen Waddle. This is one of the bigger gaps in this game so far. Jalen Waddle had 1,382 all-purpose yards last season. Daps to you. Did Alvin Kamara have more or less?
I gotta go more.
More?
I'm going more for Kamara.
Say why. Say more.
You
just fill it?
I just go 700 receiving yards, 700 rushing yards.
You think he's around 1,400?
And, plus or minus, whatever it is.
All right.
Maybe it's 8-6.
Casey's up 2-1, so this is a key question.
Yeah, but I got to stick to my guns.
Okay. Jalen Waddle had 1,382 all-purpose yards. Dap says Alvin Kamara had more. The answer is more. Wow. And you were dead on. Alvin Kamara had 1,399 all-purpose yards. But I feel like you should get a bonus point for that. No bonus points, though. That's not how this works.
3-2. Daps over Casey.
2-2 is the score right now. Both of you are 2 of 4. We're in round 5. Alvin Kamara had 1,399 all-purpose yards in 2022. Did Travis Kelce have more or less? Casey.
Man, this one's a thinker.
I like to mix the positions up. It's fun.
Yeah. I'm not going to overthink this one. Both guys, extreme talents. These running back numbers are tough to compete with for any other position just because they get it both ways. Travis Kelce gets in the mix every once in a while on a run, but I mean, I can't imagine he hit even 100 yards there. But he's one of the few guys, especially the only tight end, really, who could hit the other 1,300 he needs in the air, just as he dominates all tight ends in that category. You know what? Screw it. Let's roll the dice, maybe, here. And let's go with Kelce.
T. Kelce was an incredible fantasy value last year. So Alvin Kamara had 1,399. Casey said Travis Kelce had more. The answer is Less. Travis Kelce had 1,343 all-purpose yards last season. Casey's now 2 of 5. Dabbs has the opportunity to take the
He
lead
probably
going
didn't
into
even-
the final round. This is the second to last round, by the way. I'm pretty sure.
He probably didn't even hit the 100. I was like, maybe he got 100 rushing yards. Maybe.
Yeah,
just
that's
some
probably
random
where you
stuff.
missed.
He probably
did have
didn't.
1,300.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
probably did have 1,300 through the air.
Okay, Travis Kelce, 1,343 all-purpose yards in 2022-2023 season. Daps, did Joe Mixon have more or less?
This is tough.
Joe Mixon is
This is
he's
tough.
where do you think
I
he
think-
even is on his team?
I think Joe
in
Mixon
all-purpose?
did about half of this yardage in one game, where he scored like 5 touchdowns. Remember?
And he's good. Like he's
Yep.
solid. He's a solid player. I just think about
His team is
yards.
so stacked.
Yeah, his team is so stacked. I guess I don't know how many, balls he catches a game. I don't know if it's 5. I don't know if it's 7. I don't know if it's 2.
7 would be a lot, right?
I bet it happened last year a few times.
Did Joe Mixon have more or less than 1343? My gut tells me, how could Joe Mixon have more yards than Kelsey? That's what my gut tells me, right?
Yeah, you
But-
trying to get in my head here?
No, not at all. But then I
Well,
just
you
go
know
back-
they're going to be close.
Yeah,
the same math as Kamara though. This is how I deal with this, right? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, did he rush for 1,000 yards? Probably close to, and then he needs 400 yards receiving to beat this number. And
you
with
don't
that
know.
math, I'm going over.
All right. So Travis Kelce had 1,343 all-purpose yards last season. Dap says Joe Mixon had more. The answer is less. Joe Mixon
Wow.
had
Should've stuck with
1,255.
my gut. Should have stuck with my gut.
1,255 all-purpose yards in 2022. Now Casey has the chance to take the lead in the top of the 9th or the top
Wow.
of the 6th. This is a Little League baseball game.
I hate my life.
With a 9er. He's got a chance with a 9er. I didn't know Casey was going to go first before
Wait,
that.
so is it Casey then me and then it's it?
And then that's it, but I got a tiebreaker.
God,
I got a tiebreaker if y'all
we
tie.
tie.
Casey.
All right, Casey with a 9er. I couldn't have set you up better for this. I didn't even mean to. Joe Mixon had 1,255 all-purpose yards in 2022. Did Ray McLeod have more or less? I know normally you would just say I would rather miss saying more, but you got to hit this one, or you.
Yeah, no, this when it popped up, I had a gut feeling. I'm actually surprised that this is the question because I'm assuming that you're following the same sort of principles as you have setting up this whole game. I'm actually kind of surprised these guys are that close. I mean, we can see Mixon's number, Ray McLeod, more of a 3 in the receiving room. He's actually biggest as a kick returner. I'm sure he did get in on some gadget plays, get some rushing yards in, but nothing, I want to say, too
Does kick
significant.
returns go towards all purpose?
This is
It
whatever the
shouldn't.
NFL counts. This is
Oh.
from NFL.com.
Oh, that shouldn't count as all purpose. Well, these aren't all purpose is offensive yards. But it doesn't say
You take
that.
it up with the
Hey, all I
NFL.
did was ask a
Take
question.
it up with the NFL, Casey.
I mean, if we're okay, hold on. This changes everything. So this is the only way that they are close, then.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you put his head in a different space. That could be good. That could be bad.
It could, you're absolutely right. We're about to find out.
Dang, I hate this actually. Yeah, now I think about it, I'm like, there's no way he was anywhere near this. He had to be less, but with kick return, I mean, that's a whole nother category where you can rack up like a massive amount of yards.
Well, I was just curious. In my head, I go, maybe that's how he's so close. Is because
You have to be right too. And
Right.
John's being all like not
he's
directly
being
answering
extremely
it.
evasive, Casey.
Exactly. So Daps, you gave me.
I'm
a
just
clue
going
into it.
off of the list that the NFL puts out
He's
for all
going off
purpose yards.
Data and statistics, Casey.
Yep.
All right. There's no emotion in our friend John over here.
No.
Okay?
Yeah, this is nuts. Just
None.
to throw in a kick
He
returner
has
in the middle.
become an AI bot himself.
I
the
am
host of the
going to. This is wild. I'm going to stick with what I was going to say anyway because I can't be wrong because I got nervous and switched. I'm going to go with less, even though I'm sure this counts return yards. He's a good returner, big time, but I'm going to go with less. Just shouldn't have got in all that much on offense. I don't think he had that many return yards to offset it. But I could be wrong.
All right. Joe Mixon had 1,255 all-purpose yards in 2022. Casey says Ray McLeod had less than that. The answer is more.
Okay.
He missed on a Niner. Ray McLeod had 1,276 all-purpose yards in 2022 for the win to you, Daps. Did Najee Harris, Najee or Najee? Najee. Right?
I say Najee. I hear it both ways though.
I hear it both ways.
I hear Najee more. Yeah.
Najee Harris have more or less than Ray McLeod at 1,276 Daps for the win.
When it's so obvious to me, I always want to do
scary.
The opposite. Najee had a bad year last year. But also, I always think about it from fantasy standpoint, right? So that could just mean he didn't get in the end zone, right? And he had X amount of yards.
They wouldn't be next to each other in this game if they weren't close. You know that by now anyway.
Right. Again, I'm just always going back to the combination of his receptions. And
Hold on. Najee didn't return any kicks, did he?
I mean, so the good thing though is that I'm glad that you pointed that out, because then Casey would be like, well, okay, but like he thought about it.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm trying to think back to like didn't CD return some stuff too? Like some of those guys get in on
returns. I'm like, this is so, there's such a large disparity between these players, and I kept thinking about it. I'm like, John would not have put this on there. So there, and then, just deducing the all-purpose yards must include that.
It does. As a Niners fan, trust me, it does. Ray McLeod did not have almost 1,300 yards of total offense for sure.
And just because I'm more thinking about John's mind right now than these two players, and
dangerous place.
It makes me think that Ray McLeod is the key to this entire.
Oh, he's Neo. He's the one.
Ray McLeod is the chosen one.
Key to this entire game, and I'm gonna say that Ray McLeod, or excuse me, Najee Harris has less all-purpose yards than Ray McLeod, which is insane for me to say.
Okay, Ray McLeod had 1,276 all-purpose yards last season. Dap says Najee Harris had less. I'm nervous. I don't even remember the answer. The answer is less. Najee Harris had 1,263.
What was the difference?
14 yards less?
14
yards.
Yes. So Ray McLeod was between Najee Harris and Travis Kelce.
That was one kick return. He passed Najee Harris just in
all-purpose yards. So Dap's got the win there. Do you guys want to see the tiebreaker for funsies? You already did kind of see a little peek. Bonus question. How many all-purpose yards did Justin Fields have in 2022? I will give you this hint. They're not including passing yards, in case you didn't already know.
So it's just rushing? Is that
just
it was not
rushing,
all-purpose?
Yep. Not all
really.
Oh, if you returned any kicks, they are including that.
Right, but I guess
we're really twisting what all-purpose means on the segment. That's okay. It's all for fun.
I mean, I'm going off of how the NFL defines all-purpose, man.
I'm gonna guess 667 yards.
667. Casey.
I will guess 668.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, that was a dick move.
Well, is
what?
it?
I already lost.
So he has everything over then, right?
What's
that?
that?
Got everything under.
Yeah, he would have everything over.
Right. Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
I'll give you a cool. I'll go straight to 700. I'll give you some window.
What a nice guy.
I mean, it's all this rushing.
Justin
yards,
Fields.
right?
So you said 667.
Yep.
Casey says 700 total offense or total. What is that? Total yardage or what was the stat again?
I don't honestly know.
All-purpose yards.
All-purpose yards. Yeah.
All-purpose yards as defined by the NFL. All right. So you guys are locked in at 667 and 700. By the NFL's standard of all-purpose yards, Justin Fields had more of them than any other quarterback at 1,123.
Nice. You know what?
Which I guess means he rushed for 1,100 yards. Or did he catch any passes? Maybe he caught some passes. I don't know.
He might have caught like one on a gadget play, but it was all rushing. I knew he had it.
After I said that, I remembered he had like 150 rushing yards in one game. And I'm like, there's no way he only had 600 fucking yards.
Yeah, you got him down there in the likes of like.
Yeah, he didn't. Justin Fields doesn't really pass much. That's good. So Daps 121. Casey got the bonus question, which is, I guess,
Which
just
counts for
honorable
0.
mention.
Just let's,
Counts
for the
for 0.
record, just
It's
everyone
just for
should know
funsies.
that.
Yep,
doesn't
it was
count.
for funsies. It was tiebreaker only, and there was no tie. Daps won 2-1. In total, you guys got 3 of the 12 questions right. So great job. If you guys did twice as good as how good you did, then you would get an F in school.
Wow.
If you doubled how good you did.
Wow.
So just
Pretty impressive.
for
Casey.
pretty awesome. Good job, guys.
It was. I will say, okay. Compared to
All
how
I
we've
saw
done it,
was a W in my side of the.
yeah, that's all that
scoreboard,
matters.
yeah.
That is all that matters.
I'm gonna alert our NBA crowd that we're gonna be starting that segment here soon, John. If that's good with you.
Yep. Do you got to jump?
I got to jump.
Okay.
I'm going to use the restroom real quick and get out of here. It's been a pleasure. I will make an NBA segment one of these days, guys. I swear to God.
I know.
I did make that
Well.
statistics thing, though, that you did, which was incredible, too. The other game we played,
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Also, I
that's
don't
fun.
know who's creating these games, but if it's you, nice work.
It's or if it's Casey, not nice work.
Well,
though.
no.
If it's Casey, horrible work.
If Casey had
It's a
beat
team
me in the
effort.
game, I would have said horrible work, but because I beat him, great work.
Well,
Casey.
so that one he obviously didn't create. I had to create that one. I don't remember who came up with the concept. Casey might have come up with the concept for the game.
We're going to talk about how to reshoot that game for vertical content on Instagram, because I think that could be like also
It's
viral
fun.
on TikTok.
Yeah, it's fun. Fun
All
game.
right.
Cool. Daps, thanks. Heads up, everybody, while he's taken off, we'll just remove the cameras. So it's just me and you now, Casey. Every 10 likes on the video, we are giving away $25 gift cards to DAP Sports. Right now, video is sitting at 13 likes. There's 10 people watching. Some of you guys for sure haven't liked it. So like the video. Once we get to 20 likes, we'll just do a giveaway. We do the giveaways on our private community, playback.tv/triplecross. There's a link to that in the description, and you can watch the show there. So like the video and then head there to watch the show, and that's where we'll decide who wins the gift card. But we'll show one live on YouTube if we get to 20. Right? That's how that works. 16 likes.
Yeah.
Hey, asking you shall receive.
While we're live, we'll rip one live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll all be over on Playback afterwards. So do what John said. Head on over to Playback. Make sure after you like the video, make sure you head on over to Playback so that you can get entered to win over there.
All right, Casey. Quick reaction. If I had to ask you, who do you think it would be the toughest NBA player to guard? Let me ask you really closer to what the actual question is. No, I'll ask you that question. Who do you think the toughest player to guard in the NBA is?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's like positional stuff. Is it me? Am I asking based off
If it's you, yeah, okay, yeah. If it's you, Casey, who do you think the toughest to guard is? And then we could go the direction of like, who is the toughest for NBA defenders to guard? Because if it's you, Casey, it's for sure someone who's super tall and can just.
It's probably like Jokic, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, dude.
He's got everything in his
use your
bag.
weight to offset him. He would just still push you around, you know?
No, it'd be a nightmare. I don't know where he's gonna be. He could be doing anything at any given spot.
You would have a face full of Jokic nuts all the time. Like
he'd ride me like his horse. Like
your face would be your face would be right at crotch level. It would be a miserable experience.
Be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But no, I think answering the actual heart of the question, who's the toughest to guard in the NBA for people in the NBA, that's a tougher question for sure. But
TCAP says Giannis. Giannis would be a tough guard. I get that.
For sure. Giannis is a good question. I'm trying to think of somebody more,
while you think, I'll just read
guy.
from chat. Rose is saying Drew Holiday. Rose, I think you're going the other direction. You're saying who the best defender is. We're saying who would be the hardest player to defend if they were on offense. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even a guy like, honestly, I'm trying to think of a less common answer that would also fit really well. Like a guy like SGA comes to mind, just like a total Swiss Army knife.
He's a tough guard. Yeah.
Yeah. Jason Tatum, like one of those guys who like the size and the
do
speed.
Everything. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Total Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Michael Scarlett says Walt. I don't know if he means Wilt, or he could mean Walt Frazier. Walt
Disney, maybe.
Walt Disney would be tough to guard because I don't think he even plays basketball. So it'd be literally hard to guard him. He wouldn't be there.
I think he's in a box.
Show up and be like, hey, the guy's not even here. How am I supposed to guard him?
Yeah.
Okay. So Gilbert Arenas, who usually you're a pretty big fan of the stuff that Gil has to say.
Hold on. I mean, no,
Gilbert Arenas is not the hardest to guard, but
we
he answered
cannot
this question.
share the conversation we had in private about Gilbert Arenas, although that was a fun time.
Yeah. So Gilbert Arenas answered this question. They were specifically talking about guards, like elite guards. But like usually you're a big fan of what Gil has to say, but I do wonder what you'll have to say about this one. We might want to change our background to the plain blue here really quick before I get into that. But
Plain blue.
Let's see. What are we at for likes? I'll check really quick. We're at
Mike
18.
said we were at.
Mike said 19. I see 18. If we get one more, if we get to 20, we'll do a spin.
I see 19 as well.
Actually, do you want to just sit here until we get to 20? Somebody like the video. Somebody like the video. Like it. Do it now, and then we'll give away a $25 gift card. We only need one more. If you like the video, we'll give away a $25 gift card. We're gonna wait. That could really not work out for us. Like we could.
Yeah, this could be a boring segment if we wait.
We're gonna sit here and silently. You see 19. You said.
I do see 19. Yeah.
I see 18 in YouTube Studio, but what do I know? What is YouTube
Yeah.
Studio? It doesn't.
I'm looking on actual YouTube proper.
On YouTube proper, you see 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see 19 as well. So one more, guys. I don't want to interrupt the segment to do it, though. That's why I kind of wanted to grab it before. But all right, here we go. Once we get 20, we will do a $25 gift card giveaway. But here's Gil talking about the toughest guard of the guards.
In their primes, who's the most dangerous when hot? You had Dame, Steph, you had Melo, you had Clay.
It's not even a conversation, bro. Steph.
I picked Clay. It's hard to control his hot because he doesn't need the ball. He scored, 60-something points, less than 11 dribbles. When he gets hot, it's more dangerous because he's moving. It's hard to double someone who's coming off screens and doing all that. Even when he scored 60, he had Curry and KD on the floor, but because he can get it up so fast, it just seems like once he gets hot, it's hard to go.
Like that OKC game, I feel like that was Steph's coming out party. When he hit them threes back to back, see walking and I feel like that hot, that took him to another level.
Dame is one because he's going to come down. He can get it off the bounce. He can get it off the dribble. He can get it off the step back. It's a different type of hot that you can't really turn off. You can turn Clay's off.
When they're on fire, who is the person that you don't want to guard when they're on fire? Clay Thompson, because he don't need no dribbles. He don't need nothing.
Steph and Dame are the only two guys when they come across the half, better watch your ass.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that.
So if you missed that, Gilbert Arenas' position is that of those guys. So we got Dame, Steph. Who else did they say? Carmelo Anthony. Nobody thought it was Carmelo, by the way. Not a single one of them. Dame, Steph, Klay Thompson, Carmelo Anthony were the options. And Gilbert Arenas said Klay Thompson is the hardest to guard. He gave his reasoning, and his reasoning is essentially that Klay does a lot of the work off ball, and that's hard to deal with because it is hard to chase people around off ball screen. I think that actually has a lot more to do with Gilbert Arenas' game, and that it's really hard work to do that on defense, right? It's really hard work to guard that guy who does all of his work off ball. And Gilbert Arenas is like, that just sounds like it would suck. I don't want to do that at all. So I'm gonna say Klay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I take some issue with it.
Not biased in this question, right?
Well, not that. Well, okay, yeah. Even just between like Klay and Steph, for example, and they're not even the best example, but I guess defense doesn't have to mean guarding the guy on ball, of course. But I think that a lot of his points were about like, yeah, once he's open, like then he just shoots. Like, well, yeah, anybody who's open and they shoot. I mean, especially when it's Klay, yeah, he's going to make a ton on you, sure. So you do have to lock him down off the ball, but that's just like one facet. You know what I mean? That's not Klay's not the most complete player.
No,
like on ball, I think he's nowhere near the top.
Makes it hard because you got to chase him around, like chasing people around big screens and stuff like that. It's hard. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting. So I get it, and their scheme really calls for that. And he's got a quick release. So I get what Gil's saying. That's like an exhausting way to play defense. And Gilbert Arenas probably hates playing defense like that. Like he's probably thinking about Rip Hamilton. Rip Hamilton was that same way, just running off screens, always running. And it sucked to guard him. But like, let's be honest. Steph is going to embarrass you way more than Klay does. I mean, your defense 100% can call for switches, you know? And
I guess I was thinking of a guy who is kind of one and all. That's why I was trying to go like the SGA route, like on ball, off ball. Not going to be like fun either way. I guess the more I think about like off ball could matter even more. Steph really is the one who sticks out in my mind, but yeah, I'm biased, of course, because yeah, it's not just that he's hard to guard. Maybe he is particularly hard to guard, but even if you weren't, even when he is guarded, he's still making shots on you, which is kind of a different. I guess I file that differently. I'm like, yeah, you were still guarding him fine. He wasn't hard to guard necessarily. You know what I mean? He just made the shot like right in your face. So I guess there's just a lot of different ways to look at this. Steph is obviously my favorite, so I kind of want to ride that train. But I still think a guy who does it all a little bit more, maybe with a little bit more size, still feels like the right answer to me.
Yeah. Christopher Vance says Harden. Harden is a tough guard because he's so big, but he wasn't
without drawing a foul. Is that the question?
Yeah, well, yeah, he's gonna make you foul him too. TCAF says Reggie Miller was the sickest off ball ever. I hear you. I respect you. I disagree. I think Steph is the hardest to guard off ball, but if we're talking about specifically off ball players, it is Clay, and a lot of that has to do with his scheme. Reggie Miller might really cook in that Golden State scheme and be a better off ball player than Clay is, but the Pacers scheme wasn't nearly as good at getting him those shots because they didn't know to do that then, right? They were still Reggie Miller. If you look at his shot volume of threes per night, it's not nearly as high. They didn't scheme for that as much in the early 2000s. But yeah,
another guy that came to mind that we haven't thrown out, I want to say Luka too. He's the guy who looks like he's
Luka's
out there sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't in their options. I'm gonna say from their options,
not in their options, sure.
Right? Yeah. Luka's a tough guard. Luka's sort of in that same category as Harden, big, gonna body you, gonna shoot, gonna kind of do everything. In their options, here's my case for Dame. All right, I think Steph would be hard to guard. Dame will embarrass you. If Dame's hot, because they said in their prime when they're hot, Dame has the biggest games when he's hot, right? So you're going to try hard and he's going to give you 70, and that sucks, right? He's got the most 50 plus. He's got the most 50 pieces. He does it all on ball too. So it's yep, just keep coming at me, keep doubling me. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to give you 50 or 60 or 70. So I think if it's if we're taking each player's hottest game, Dame would be the worst because you just sit there and you'd get a 70 piece, So that's my thought. But I mean, Steph or Dame, I think. Definitely not Melo. Definitely not Clay. Clay, just use a scheme that switches screens. What are we in? What is it, 2010? Switch your damn screens. TCAF says, I feel like Gilbert was basketball technical with his answer, and you guys and guys like us think physically hard to defend. I don't think Gil was basketball technical with his answer. I think he was thinking about how exhausting it is to run off screens.
So what are the options we want in a poll, John?
Let's go with their four options. Let's go with Melo,
Steph, Dame, Melo,
and who was their other one? Klay Thompson.
Clay. Hey.
Yeah, let's see what the general public. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't play. Gilbert Arenas played. I get that. Who are we to say when an actual player says this thing? But I feel like he's off on this one. I usually vibe with Gilbert Arenas, but I feel like he's off on this one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I do agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
Gilbert Arenas, we're waiting for that poll, let's do a spin since we got 20. I don't know if you got a wheel going, but I don't.
I will get one going right now.
All right. So I'll explain. While Casey gets that going, I'll explain what we're doing. We're about to give away a $25 gift card, which we do for every 10 likes on the video. We just hit over 20 likes. The way you get entered is you go to our private community. The show is going on there. So like the video and then go to our private community, playback.tv/triplecross. There's a link to that in the description. If you go there, that's how you get entered into the giveaway. We're going to put you on a wheel, put your name on a wheel, and one of the people on the wheel will win the gift card. So if you've already liked the video, head over there now, and that's how you get entered. The show's there. So, don't worry about leaving YouTube or leaving the show. Well, you can watch there. Casey's pulling up the wheel just to show what it looks like real quick. There's an ad for Best Buy, if any of you guys, not a sponsor, but so yeah. So Rose right now, she's in playback. So Casey sees her in playback. He's putting her in there. That's how that's going to work. While everybody's doing that, let's maybe do one more clip real quick and then pull the wheel back up. What do you say?
Okay, go ahead, John. I think you can
all right.
override me here.
Will it just override you if I take here? I'll take this off.
Yeah, it should.
All right. So this is Grant Williams. He was on the Old Man and the Three, I think, last week, and he is addressing the "I'm gonna make both" comment that he made during the Cavs game after he said, "I'm gonna make both." He said he's going to make both free throws to win the game. Game was tied 109-109. He then proceeded to miss both free throws, and the Cavs won the game. So let's see what he has to say about it. You know, what does Grant Williams say to defend himself here?
I'm gonna make both thing. There were some memes about it for a while. At what point did you find those funny? Like, were you pissed for a bit, or was it kind of like, all right, whatever,
Grant, I just want to be clear. I didn't want to bring this up, but Tom, don't blame me.
I just had to bring it up.
Don't worry about it. I that night was probably the most frustrated I was. Like, I think I've had probably 2 or 3 moments like that in the league where I've actually been like upset at myself. And that following day is probably the day I found it funny. Like, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, I saw a tweet that said, "What's the most I'm not him moment in history?" And I just tweeted, "I'm gonna make them both." Like, it was one of those things where, like, I know I'm gonna have a Gilbert Arenas moment for the rest of my career because of it. And I like look back at it and I'm like, man, like, it was a regular season game. It made it worse because earlier in the season, JB had already missed 2 free throws like that against the Knicks. And Boston crushed them for it. And they're like, team there, we were working on the free throws, stuff like that. And for me to come out and be confident enough to say I'm making both. And mind you, at the time, I think I was shooting like 85+%. Like, I shot 90% the year before. So I was going into it like, I know I'm going to make these. Like, and then when Don and them were talking shit, I was like, I'm going to make both. Like, just relax. Game's over. And for me to say that and then not do it was probably the most, like, you look like a nimwit moment of my career. But at the same time, I found light in it to laugh at it, because if I was any other player, I'd be laughing at it. So, like, you got to be able to laugh at it yourself, unless you're going to be, like, crushing yourself downhill for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think that actually started like a whole thing for him where he like missed a bunch of free throws in a row after that. Like, he would like shot really bad from the free throw line. I'm just saying, dude. And they ended up getting, they should have been in the finals. So, you know, probably because he said he's going to make both. That's why that happened. That happened in the Cavs series, and then, you know, from then on they just sucked.
Once you get something in your head, you know, once you get something bothering you, you know, it feels to me like basketball is one of those sports where quicksand is real, you know, like
basketball's like golf.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think everybody, there's a certain amount of that in every sport, but I think it's easy, especially as like a casual fan like myself, it's easy to underestimate that effect in basketball. But I mean, really, like, it's, I can appreciate it. I can appreciate that it's up there for me in sports as far as like a little shakiness, a little something swimming around your head,
especially free throws.
Tear your game apart. Yeah, exactly. Especially the things that are supposed to be the easiest. That's when you're going to be like, well, I'm not supposed to miss these, and then that's where it all stems from.
Yeah. Ashes to Ashes chiming in here said on the last thing, saying Steph literally never stops moving. That's a good point. He'd be tough to guard because you have to guard him on ball and off ball, not like Clay. But all right, so here's what the wheel looks like. We are about to spin this wheel for a $25 gift card for some swag, some NBA swag, some NFL swag. If you're not on it, we'll give everybody a couple minutes here. We'll go maybe, you know, minute or two. Hit the link in the description, playback.tv/triplecross. Head over there. Hop in the chat, make sure we know that you're there. Once we know you're there, then you will get on the wheel. So if you're there, in case he doesn't have you on the wheel, chime in. Let him know. I see there's more people on Playback now than YouTube, so I got to start watching both chats. But yeah, I guess we do games. So this will be our first gift card giveaway. We're going to do one of them. Some people unliked the video. What do we do about that? What's our protocol on people who take their likes back?
Well, unfortunately, we don't know who they are. So
first of all, they're D-bags.
Yeah.
Just leave your likes. What the heck?
I don't know.
But yeah, we're still going to do 2 because we hit 20. So this will be the first one. We're going to spin this for a $25 gift card. If you miss this one, don't worry. We're going to do another one at the end as well. Or if we get to 30, we'll do another one during. But some people took their likes back. So, you know, I don't know if we're going to get to 30 or not. We'll see.
Very, very nice of them to do that. John, you want to see the results to our poll here? They're pretty definitive, I would say.
Let's talk about it. Yeah. Pretty definitively, Steph, I'm guessing.
Again, while we talk about this, if you are not on the wheel in front of you and you want to be on the wheel to win $25, head on over to Playback, link in the description. We'll be doing that in just a couple of minutes, so you got time if you go now. Here are the results. I'll end the poll now. Yeah, really definitive. Who's the hardest to guard? Steph, Dame, Clay, or Melo? There were 15 votes total. Steph ran away with it at 86% of the vote. Melo did not get a vote.
That makes complete sense. He shouldn't even be in the conversation.
Right.
And he would be the hardest to guard if you were an actual normal person, though. Because
so it looks
he's the biggest.
Well, I don't even know if I agree with that, man. I mean, Steph is not normal either,
Yeah,
he's just gonna.
You'd have a chance, right? Like you'd have a chance to at least kind of guard him. Like Melo, it would be like it would actually not be that different between like Melo and Jokic. He'd just back you down all the way to the rim and then dunk it.
Well, yeah, but when Steph does the same thing from 3 feet beyond the 3-point line, he's scoring an extra point on you too.
Yeah, I guess if they each had 10 possessions, Steph would probably score more points.
Yeah, I guess
his shots got to fall. If his shots don't fall, then because Melo would score exactly 20 points with 10 possessions.
Right.
So, it would just be whether Steph hit enough shots to get more than that.
I guess I believe he would. So it looks like based off these votes, Dame and Clay both got 6%. So Steph got 13 out of the 15 votes. Yeah, Steph is always making unreal shots, Aaron. I agree. Aaron, I hope you're over on Playback, Monster Blocks, Ashes to Ashes, TCAF, Christopher Vant, all you guys. Hopefully you're over on Playback. That's what the wheel you're looking at is. This is for a $25 gift card to DAP Sports. We're going to spin this in just a second. I'm going to check to see if we got any new names over there in Playback. We do have one visitor, so maybe that's somebody trying to get
Ashes
in.
to Ashes is there now.
Ashes, what's up? Okay. Oh, and Roger.
With a Marcus Smart profile pick coming up clutch. I like that.
And Aaron. I do see Aaron.
There.
I do see Ashes. Do see Roger. Some people are listening, getting themselves added to the wheel. I don't think I've missed anybody else.
Yeah, there's 8 people still on YouTube, guys. The way that you get on this wheel for a $25 gift card is to go to playback.tv/triplecross. And there's a link in the description. It's cool to watch on YouTube. That's fine if you want to do that. We're going to do another one at the end, but you won't get in on this one if you don't go there now. But you could still get in on the one at the end.
It's true. Based on Felix's message in Playback, I'm going to guess you're the one who voted for Melo. Hey, Felix?
He's the one vote for Melo.
Well, we didn't add a European to the mix, so he didn't know who to vote for.
He was a good scorer. Yeah, Melo was a good scorer. That's what I mean. So for an NBA player, the toughest guard is Steph. For like a regular person, Melo would score exactly 20 points on a regular person in 10 possessions. Steph might score more depending on whether his shot went or not.
All right. Well, we still have one visitor over here on Playback, but I mean, we've had several people make it over in just the last few minutes.
Real quick, Klein Gardner, because some people just came in. Klein Gardner and Iris Norris. Heads up, we are about to do a $25 gift card giveaway. There's a link in the description. Sorry, I know you were about to spin it, Casey, but I gotta let everybody get a chance. There's a link in the description of the video to our private community, playback.tv/triplecross. You got to go over there to get on this wheel that you see. You get on the wheel, you are entered to win the $25 gift card. Oh, Klein is definitely behind because he's saying Giannis. And so what is Playback?
Here,
so yeah, if you click the link, it's just another place that you can watch this show. So like the video before you do it so that we get more likes on the video and we give away more stuff. But like the video, if you click the link in the description though, it'll take you there and then you sign in and then you can watch the show there. But it's just our private community. We like to have after parties there and stuff. The main reason we started doing it is because you can watch games together there, and you can't do that on YouTube, which isn't that relevant right now, but we still want to get people over there. So
I wonder if this will work. I'm going to try something real crazy real quick. Probably sends us into infinity pretty quick, but I know it's on a little bit of a delay. This is what it looks like. You ask and you shall receive. This is what it looks like when you go to Playback. You see us in the show.
Yep.
In a few seconds here, for sure, it'll send us.
And here's me reacting to my reaction of that reaction video.
This is me pulling up Playback, pulling up Playback, pulling up Playback, and then another pulling
here's
up.
Here's me pulling up Playback, pulling up play. Yeah.
This is what it looks like. Yeah, we got a chat over off the side, so we kind of call that the VIP chat. I'm gonna not share that so that we don't all get sick here. Let's go back to this. It's a little bit cleaner thing to share. Back to the
I don't know. We give them 30, maybe one more clip, and then we're gonna spin it. So I'm gonna do one more clip, and then we're gonna spin this wheel for a $25 gift card. Just because
sounds good. We are doing another spin at the end of the show anyway. So
yep, that's true. That's true. Very true. And it's every 10 likes on the video too. So if we got to 30, which we could get to 30, Like, make sure you like the video before you go over to playback. All right, let's see. What do we got now? We got, oh, this one's kind of funny. So Mikal Bridges was on Paul George's podcast, and it's talking about life after basketball, man. What he's going to do after
I
basketball.
want to know about this teaching stuff, though.
That's still like a thing. I think when I'm done playing, that's like a thing I want to do, like second grade teaching.
No, you not, bro. You about to be a $400-500 million
second grade teacher
player. You not about to be no teacher,
But don't
bro.
you know? My friends say it too, but a lot of them, they fake believe me and they on your side too. But don't you know you see them videos when like the kids come in and the teacher do all the handshakes with each one and shit like that? Like,
you want
that's
to do
like,
all that? Well, you know what I'm saying? So you want to go home and correct? Look at Charles. He got an F. I'm going to give him a C.
When we fast forward and you have your own little one, and then now you think about 20 more of these, we'll have the same conversation.
Think about I think none of my teachers had kids. I don't think she had one.
He'll end up being a principal. We like that you was teaching. I'm the principal, man. I can do that.
Send them to me when y'all tired.
Question on this one. What's your question here?
Teacher?
Which NBA player would
No, it's Mikal Bridges. He says he's gonna be a teacher. I like how specific he is. He's like, I'm gonna be a second grade teacher. Like, that's what he wants to teach.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be no teacher.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, I don't think he's gonna be a teacher. It would be too like inconvenient. You know what I mean? Although Casey and I had a teacher at our high school who played in the MLB. He wasn't nearly as famous as Mikal Bridges, and he didn't make as much money doing it.
Who is that?
I can't even remember his name, but he played for the Mariners. Remember? I remember he had, because I made like somebody in our media class made like a poster. You know, remember those posters, the backlit ones? Somebody made a poster of him. He had a game where he had like 12 strikeouts in a game, in a major league game. But I don't even remember who it was. I don't remember his name.
I'm right there with you. I didn't even remember that was a thing. So
yeah, and he wasn't even he wasn't a baseball coach or anything. He just was. Also, that's a high school teacher. That's like teaching second grade, man. That's like when kids start getting stinky.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's true. I don't know if I'd want to be on board with that. All right, Casey, what do we got for this giveaway? We get some more people over there.
All right, hey, Sean's over here now. I think Sean's the only new one over. Yeah, I think it's just Sean. So I'm gonna add Sean in.
All right, here we go. $25 gift card to DAP Sports. Let's spin this thing. My pick. I'm gonna take Sean. The late arrival. He's gonna come late and freaking win it all. That's what's gonna happen. So this one's for $25 gift card. If you don't get in on this, that's okay. We'll do another one at the end. If we get to 30 likes on this video on YouTube, then we'll do even another one. We'll do 2 more.
I'm feeling a newer name gonna win here today. I don't know what it is.
Ooh, Ashes.
I think there's only 2. I'm gonna go with the first one that I saw show up actually too. I think that's good juju in that. So let's go Pretty Gal Riri. I think that's a new person to play back.
I like that. I like that username. You know, I like it when people have interesting usernames like Pretty Gal Riri. Are you? And
I'm, you know, nothing against like following our instructions and going when we tell you, but I think that she was already there before we were like really instructing people to go there for the giveaway. So hey,
yeah,
you know, double.
She read the YouTube description.
I think that's what happened. So I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. All right, so for $25, 2 DAPs. DAP Sports. One last check in playback. I don't see anybody new. All right, so let's spin the wheel. Good luck to all y'all. Let's see it.
Okay, here we go. $25
goes
to.
Oh, I was so close.
Jimmy. James B. Brown. He feels good, and he knew that he would.
Brown. Brown.
James Brown. Email triplecrosspodcast@gmail.com to claim your $25 gift card. Congrats. All right, so that's one. We'll do at least one more, maybe 2 more if we hit 30 likes on the YouTube video. We'll see what happens. All right, let's talk about this. Is actually, I think this is like a better like a better thing to talk about, like more, you know. It's not like, will Mikal Bridges be a second grade teacher? It's like, okay, this is serious stuff, right? Let's talk about some serious stuff here. More Gilbert Arenas. So you know it's serious because it's Gil.
The Monstars came back to Earth looking for a rematch. Which current NBA starting
Bron.
you assembling to save the planet?
Wait, what?
If they came back and we had to pick 5 right now. So let's get the Europeans. We need them to save us. Shit, come on, Joe. Come on, Greek.
If they're aliens, they probably might be a
And
little
then
athletic.
come on, Bron. Come on, Steph. And KD. Come on, let's go.
I'm playing with the Monstars. I'm on the Monstar team.
Oh, God.
Starting shooting guard for the Monstars.
What if the Monstars ask you to take a pay cut?
I'm taking a pay cut to be on the Monstars team. We're dominating and invading this planet if we haven't already.
Listen, you heard my 5. Them Europeans, they coming with me. They saving the league, Gil.
I don't believe aliens until I see it from my own eyes, okay? All these aircrafts falling with our technology ain't no real footage. Like, boom, oh, what's
There
that?
is
Nope, nah.
That's why I like Gil, because I'm like, I don't know if I really align with what you're saying, but you are funny.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if he's trying to be funny there. That's what I like about him the most.
I know. I don't think he's trying to be funny. I think that's just him. That's just
Exactly.
him going about his day, you know.
That's my favorite thing about him. You mentioned that he's the guy I tend to like. It literally has nothing to do with his basketball acumen or ability at all. It's just the personality is undeniably entertaining, I think. I mean,
yeah. That's him being Gil. All right. So who's your starting 5 against the Monstars?
my starting 5 against the Monstars. Were they going all time or current?
So I think they're going on all current because they didn't say Mike, you know.
Well, I mean,
Mike already beat him once with freaking
that
Bugs
might
Bunny
help.
and a bunch of other scrubs. So I'm pretty sure they're not that tough.
Yeah, but they had his magic stuff.
They had Mike's magic stuff?
Yeah.
No, they had the magic stuff of all the other players.
No,
Charles
Mike's
Barkley.
magic stuff. That was the
Oh yeah, that's true.
Come on, bro. Come on.
So the Mike's magic stuff, he could come back and give him that. He could be retained and even have to be in the game.
There we go.
But he might just be like,
Mike's
look,
the
if
water
y'all don't
boy.
want me to play, you don't get any of my magic stuff. Like
Mike,
I already dealt with these guys once. Your problem now, not my job.
That's high quality H2O.
Yeah. All right, who's your starting 5 against the Monstars?
All right.
Does it
I mean,
change that they're aliens and that they're big and athletic? Like, are you like, I'm gonna try and match size and speed with size and speed? Or are you like, I gotta fight fire with ice. I gotta go a different direction with it.
I think that some of the rules change.
Yeah.
But I don't think it necessarily means it's just
Like you're going
more
with your
size.
best 5 regardless.
Well, I'm going to assume that they're bigger, stronger, slower.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So maybe some speed. You have there's an advantage with a little bit more speed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, usually you say bigger, stronger, faster, but are they really faster even in the show? Not really.
I don't know. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. I mean,
bigger,
they
stronger,
just don't-
dumber.
it's hard to even assume, understand what their speed is because it takes them 1 step to get across the court. You know,
That's
so,
fair. That's fair.
is
But
that step
still,
fast?
like a Roadrunner or whatever, or Babs kind of slicing and dicing through there. It's a lot of the speed that emerges on that squad.
It's quickness. I would call it quickness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and creativity, things like that. I mean, let's go back and forth together on this because I'm for sure putting Steph on the squad, and you can put him at whatever spot in the lineup you want. I mean, whatever the 2 spots in the lineup you want.
All right.
But,
all right.
Who are you
Steph.
drafting to our?
We're gonna need some defense. We're gonna need
Are
some
we the
defense.
Toon Squad? Are we still the Toon Squad? Is that? Or are we?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, so do we? Can we not put any more NBA players on it now? No, that wasn't the question. So we're gonna need some defense, some level of some defense. But I still want 2-way because we only got 5 guys. There's no bench here, so I still want a 2-way player. So I will go Giannis here. I think. I mean, some people think Joel Embiid is better. I don't think that's even close. It's not close. It's Giannis. Giannis is a better defender than Joel Embiid. So I'm gonna go Giannis. Kind of brings the whole package, you know.
I'm gonna they did get beat in the 90s, so I feel like this is all the everything I need to be able to go with somewhat of a twin tower type of thing. Plus, this is a real big man.
Are you gonna take Jokic, dude? Jokic, I don't know if Jokic is the guy here, you know.
I think they're gonna be like, we did our scouting on the big men in the NBA, and they're gonna think they know his game, and they are not gonna know his game. They're gonna be like, what is he doing passing the ball? What's happening here?
I mean, I look, it's your pick, but I'm just telling you, I don't approve. I don't think Jokic is the move for this.
What if he
this
gets his
particular
horse?
matchup?
What if he can
you know
bring
what I'm
his
saying?
horse onto the court? Because there were animals on the court the last time we saw them. So
What's that?
I mean, are they going to even be able to differentiate that Jokic is a different person? If he's riding his horse at the same time.
Oh, he can bring his horse with him.
I mean, are the aliens even going to know that that's not just all him? That's
Will
he's
the
just like a
horse help him?
centaur.
I think that's the real question.
He's
How
gonna-
good do you
he's gonna
think
give
he
him
is
some
on that
height and
horse?
some speed. A little less.
I actually
controllable.
don't know if it would give him height. He might be shorter sitting on a horse than he is standing up.
I assume he has a decent sized horse.
The horse might not go.
It's not
to
like
his
he's jumping
waist.
on the back of like a little shuttling pony.
Horse might be going to like Jokic's like like his hip. All right, so you got Jokic.
Yeah, I'm gonna toss him in there. You're not happy about it, but I'm gonna
Hey,
do it.
you know what? It was your pick. Bobo Stream just says hi. Hi. What up, Bobo Stream? All right, so we got Steph, Giannis. I don't like KD for this either, really. He's a good player. They said KD, but I don't like him. I want to go a different direction with it. This is where I'm gonna like not fight fire with fire. I'm not gonna look for any speed. I want a guy who's a bucket, who's creative, who's gonna get stuff done. And I'm gonna go with we've got two big men. I'm gonna go with another like kind of backcourt beast in Dame. So we've got
I like it
from deep. You know what I mean? Like
we got shooters.
Those guys are gonna shut down the paint. The Monstars are gonna shut down the paint. We need some guys who can score outside. So we got Steph and Dame. Jokic can shoot from outside too, so that's cool. He brings that to the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think we
round
got
us
some
out. Who
shooters
else
on
you
our
got
squad.
here?
Man, I mean, I want to go for the bit, obviously. I mean, knowing that he's strapped up 24/7, I think John Morant carrying some weapons onto the court.
That
in
can't
this
hurt.
situation only.
It
yeah,
can't hurt.
Could be
John
worth it.
Morant's probably the most Michael Jordan-like player of the current NBA. You know what I mean? In terms of style of play.
Yeah, I mean, I watched. I can't remember which game it was, but I think it was. I actually don't even know if it was a season. But watching a short of him, sometimes you get caught up watching a short like 6-7 times in a row, and you're just kind of mesmerized by it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not a whole 60-second short; it's like 20 seconds long. You're like, what just
You
happened?
just watch it loop. Yeah.
Man, I watched this one loop of Ja stealing an inbounds pass, like looking the opposite direction, and then like doing a 180 twist and grab, like he's doing receiver drills in the NFL.
Yeah.
Just like reading the action, looking to what the inbounder would see, and then just sensing with his spider senses that the pass was coming, and he jumps in the air, grabs it. I mean, I'm sure it happens quite often, but that one, I'm not gonna lie, I sat and watched that one loop for a minute, and I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. I think those are the kind of instincts we're gonna need on the squad, and I think this is a little bit more of a maybe not fire with fire, but he's not gonna back down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
I like him, and I think he fits for the squad we put together pretty well.
Hilo34 says hi. Hilo and 34 and Bovo Stream both came in recently, so I'll let you guys know the deal. Every 10 likes on this video, we give away a $25 gift card. We do that in our private community. There's a link in the description for the private community. All right, what else we got here? All right, I got one more for you. One more.
Let's go.
No, I got two more. Next one, T-Mac. A little more T-Mac. We had some T-Mac last week. I just think we need more T-Mac.
Yeah, that was
fun. The world needs more T-Mac.
So we talk about the GOAT of basketball, right? We talk about Michael Jordan. We talk about Bron. I always talk about Kobe in that conversation as well. But who's the best player in today's game? Who would you say?
I say Steph.
You say Steph. Now, if I ask you this, would Steph be the best one-on-one player in today's game?
No.
Right. This is why when you talk about the GOAT of basketball, yeah, you the GOAT. You the best player in 5-on-5 setting. You could be the GOAT in 5-on-5 setting. But how you the best basketball player if another man is playing you one-on-one and he beats you? I want to talk about and create and discover who's the world greatest basketball player. That's what I want to discover.
That's not what that means, though, T-Mac. Come on. That's not what that means. Nobody's playing that game.
Well, I mean, look, T-Mac stands to gain from that point of view. He's launching a 1v1 league. Launching a 1v1 league is a very Tracy McGrady thing to do. You know what I mean? Like he would probably have thrived in a 1v1 league even more than like a lot of other players of his era that like maybe were looked at as better.
Yeah.
Like in Allen Iverson. Like Allen Iverson would be fine in a 1v1 league, but T-Mac would probably dominate him. Just because he's so much bigger, like has more of a bag, all of that. Allen Iverson's pretty small. A guy like Michael Jordan would really do great in a 1v1 league. But so I guess in your mind, you're like 1v1 basketball has nothing to do with who the greatest basketball player of all time is. It's weighted 0. You weight it 0 or you weight it just low?
I think it's probably fine enough, I suppose, if you want to use this some sort of like tie-breaking mechanism. Sure, like you
Oh,
gotta have
wow. So
something.
you weight it pretty much nothing, basically.
Well, is that even basketball? I mean, for lack of a better term,
I get why
sure, but,
you
like,
think
if you're playing-
Steph then, because I
if
think
you're
the biggest
playing-
knock people have of Steph is that it's like he would not win a 1v1. You know, like that's actually not the biggest, but the reason that's what happens in people's brains is that it's like Mike versus LeBron. You could see those two playing 1v1 kind of going at it. Like if you throw Steph in there, it's like he just wouldn't hang 1v1 with him. He's not even, I don't know if he's a top 10 1v1 player in the league currently, you know?
Right. I guess I'm just trying to think, like, in what other sport would you use this? Okay, if we were like, okay, who's the best football player? Well, you're saying he would win in a 7-on-7 tournament then, or a flag football tournament? Like, why are we just reducing the game down? Like, for lack of a better term, 1-on-1 is not basketball. It just
I get what
isn't.
you're saying. Yeah,
it's a different game at that point.
I hear what you're saying. I
Version of
think
the game,
that basketball is probably it's unique in this way, in that it's played 1v1 through 5-on-5 through 5v5 like commonly, right? Like culturally it's played in all of those ways.
Sure.
And like commonly it's played in all those ways, and like football and like nothing else really is, you know what I mean?
I think there's a case to be made for that, but like I don't think that can just be outright assumed, is kind of my case. Is like that's weird. Surely can't be like, actually, you know what? You could bring it over to baseball. There's 1-on-1. Every single batter in the lineup has to go 1-on-1 against the pitcher. Nobody succeeds more than the pitcher in those matchups.
Yeah.
So is it automatically
So the best baseball player of all time is a pitcher?
I think a lot of people disagree with that, actually.
Really? I think the best baseball player of all time has to be a pitcher. They have the most impact on the game.
I think a lot of the biggest baseball fans would immediately go to who's the best hitter, basically.
A lot of baseball fans say like Babe Ruth, Shohei. A lot of them are saying Sohei now.
Well,
who
that
does both.
Doesn't matter what you think. Then he
does all of it. He leads the league in home runs, and also he's an incredible pitcher. So
right.
Yeah, and he probably is the GOAT if we're being honest. But
right.
Like, yeah, I mean Babe Ruth, who also did both, but like the other thing I think is interesting about the GOAT discussion, and this is something that another guy that we like, John Boy, brought up, was they were talking about the GOAT baseball player, and everyone in their office is saying Shohei, and someone who does a podcast with John Boy was saying it's Babe Ruth and it's not close. And John Boy was like, you don't compare, like you don't say like Babe Ruth would suck today. Like you don't take a player out and you compare them to their time. Like, Of course you could take the 12th man on an NBA team and put him in the 40s, be the best player in the league, you know, like.
And I like that take a lot. And I also think it's the same thing for positions. And I'm consistent on this point across all sports, because I don't think basketball should have special rules. I'm not inventing new special rules for grading the GOAT in basketball. It's the same stuff I would use otherwise. Just like John Boy or whoever it was from that office said, you don't pull them out of one time and pretend they're playing at a different time to compare them. You compare them to who they played against in their time. A lot of old guys have a case to be made for them, even if they don't ultimately, you don't land on them as the GOAT. And the same thing goes for within the positions. Sure, quarterbacks make the biggest difference on a football field. Is the best player of all time automatically a quarterback? No, maybe he is anyway. But I think a guy like Jerry Rice, for example, who stands out, when everybody else he's standing on the shoulder of every other receiver in history.
Like if Tom Brady didn't exist and there wasn't a quarterback who was head and shoulders above everyone else like that, like you would probably think the GOAT of football was Jerry Rice then.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
because he's so much ahead of everybody in his particular
for his time
category.
period, for his position. For that case in particular, the league has only gotten more pass heavy, and he still dominates all of the receiving categories. That doesn't seem like it makes any sense. It just is true that he's the best receiver of all time, so much so that he might be the best NFL player of all time, even though even I would give it to Tom Brady. It's just,
I think, I think that I do give 1-on-1 a little bit of weight. Well, definitely more weight than you do in terms of like who the basketball GOAT is, mainly because it is like it is the purest form of like you two play basketball against each, which you can do in basketball, right?
But we end up at the same
in
place
most other
anyway.
sports, you just like can't really do that. Other than, I mean, baseball, it's like you pitch, I'll hit, I'll pitch, you hit. I guess you could try that, but like because you can actually do it in basketball. I think I'm like, yeah, it does show a certain thing, which is like who, if if there's no help at all, if there's no anything else, like who actually could just score more than the other person or get to 11 first or get to 21 first or whatever.
We might get there in different ways then, but we get to the same place, don't we? Don't we agree on the GOAT?
What do you mean? No, I give it more weight for sure. I give who would win in 1v1 more weight than
right. What I'm saying is I think that's already baked into the way I look at it or anybody else looks at it. Do we both agree it's MJ? I think it's MJ, and I think he's a contender to be the number one.
I don't think it's MJ, but
okay.
You know, I actually don't really have a GOAT. That's why I say Wilt, because I'm like, I want to make sure he's represented in the discussion. So I'll forever say Wilt.
Sure.
But it's mainly because I'm like, I don't think you can, when you start wading in one-on-one, the hardest thing about that is then you're saying that you can't do that without plucking a player out of their time and putting them into a different time, you know?
Or even the matchups that would never occur in the actual game, which is why I don't love it, you know?
Yeah. I guess that's a good point. Is probably the reason 1v1 is weighted a little more heavily is because in basketball, any matchup could occur.
It could, but okay. So,
and you're going to say it could, but it doesn't. And I'm going to say it does. I'm going to say any
but not
matchup does
on a
occur.
regular basis, though. It's not like it's the regular matchup, right? Like
relatively regular. You know what I mean? Like it's not
okay. If your best player is your center and you're going
Mhm.
against the Warriors and Steph Curry, are you having that center man up on Curry? Like,
how often is
really
that center getting
strategy?
switched on to Steph Curry? Relatively often. Like,
okay, even if
it's
he's
a
around the
switchers, it's
perimeter
kind of a
shooting
switchers
the
league.
most?
It wasn't always a switchers league, but like even when it wasn't a switchers league, there's still a lot of switching. So like that is part of
Right.
it, is that you actually have to be able to have the 1 to 5 range.
Okay,
at
but
least
you're
a little
also
bit.
bringing in current league stuff for a GOAT discussion, which is again, you're kind of pulling that with that context. You're taking people.
No,
from a different time.
I already addressed that. It wasn't always a switchers league, but it's always been a switchers league way more than now. It's like big time a switchers league. It's pretty much how everybody plays.
Right.
But it's always been a switchers league way more. You've always had to have that 1 to 5 range.
Yeah, but I think 1 to 5 range is that's what I'm saying. I think there's some redundancy in overvaluing in a 1-on-1 because if you have 1 to 5 range, doesn't that help you even more in an actual 5-on-5 basketball game because you could cover anybody on the floor then?
Yeah,
as
well,
opposed
that's
to
like
only being able to cover the one guy you play against.
So that's why people weight 1-on-1 a little bit more heavily in basketball, is because it's like 1-on-1. To truly play 1-on-1 with all basketball players ever would be like a measure of your 1 to 5 range. Like how much range do you have to guard anybody, to score on anybody, you know? So yeah, like that's what I mean. I do give it a little more weight probably for that reason, if I were to try and verbalize it in this moment. But I do agree that it's not basketball, right? It's not the same. And like other factors are also weighted. So like I can't take someone like Steph. When it's all said and done, I currently don't think Steph is the GOAT, but like if his career were to progress more, I can't take someone like Steph and say that he's not the GOAT just because he wouldn't win 1-on-1. Like it's weighted for sure, like but like he could offset that with other factors.
And I think that's fine. I think that's kind of all I'm saying too, is like it's not like 1-on-1 is nothing. I mean, it's not a lot to me, but I just think what people are already putting into 1-on-1, I'm like, isn't that already baked into the game of 5-on-5 to some degree? And just to stay consistent on my point, yes, people who exceed at one thing in particular for their position I do weigh that particularly high, which is why I think it's an okay take.
Yeah,
in intellectually honest take, even though I'm a Steph fanboy. Steph is
you probably weigh that factor higher than most basketball fans would, and most basketball fans probably weigh 1v1 a little higher than you would, but that's fair, you know.
But I pull that against all sports too. I don't like having really all that different criteria across different sports. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me, even though I concede like in basketball, okay, yeah, 1-on-1 maybe is one of those, like, again, it's more of a tie-breaking thing in my mind, just how there might be a different tie-breaking thing in baseball. If I was thinking like, okay, it's down to Nolan Ryan or Babe Ruth, be like, I guess if I can't decide who is better,
Nolan Ryan will probably smoke him in a 1v1.
Exactly. I imagine them in and at bat, and I go, all right, so it's going to Ryan, I guess.
This is interesting. So we don't usually get this. We usually get a lot of LeBron GOAT fanboys. Let's I'm going to hit the chat here because on YouTube, we've got MJ GOAT from Hillo34, his opinion. Mike agrees MJ GOAT. Deb also agrees MJ GOAT. On playback, we got, what do we got? We got Jordan, Kobe 1 and 2 because of their offense and defense, says Roger. I mean, are we saying LeBron isn't a two-way player? I would disagree with that if you are. Steph isn't the GOAT, in my opinion. I just value a well-rounded player a lot, and his defense is severely lacking. And Pretty Gal Riri has the similar argument. That is probably the number one most valid argument against Steph, is that his two-way play is not great. Which I think that's another thing that you probably weight less than a lot of basketball fans, because you're like, most like the main sport you like, you're like, your two-way play doesn't matter. You don't do it.
Right.
So like, yeah, I
get
it.
I would agree. That would make him, I think that would make him, even forget the one-on-one, like he couldn't guard a 5 no matter how good on defense he was. He's just not big enough, right?
Yeah.
If he was an elite defender, like really top of the league, winning DPOY kind of more than once in a career, I would say, like, I don't care that he can't win a one-on-one tournament, even in that case. Like, as long as he's guarding up other guards, other small guys in the league, to the
are you saying who are you saying winning DPOY? LeBron?
Steph. I was saying, if Steph were doing that kind of stuff, I would say I don't care about any of your other arguments. He's probably the GOAT at that point.
One of the problems with DPOY, even if he was a good two-way player, like Marcus Smart did win DPOY.
It's a big guy, right? It's blocks.
They almost always say like, who's got the most blocks? Most commonly they say, who's got the most blocks? Right. All right, does he have good rebounds? Okay, he's the DPOY, which is dumb. I like that Marcus Smart won it. But
like if Steph could defend like Marcus Smart,
there isn't stats to measure a lot of the like guard defense stuff.
Let's Frankenstein monster this real quick. Steph on offense, but it's Marcus Smart on defense.
Yeah.
Does that guy have a case for GOAT? Does that guy have a
Well, that guy would be a far better one. I mean, to your point, why would that guy have a case for GOAT? He would have accolades, I suppose, but like he would only have one extra accolade, and that would be one DPOY. And that would essentially signal to everybody that he would do better in a 1v1 tournament, right? Like he would be better in that kind of setting, where
against
he
the
has to be two-way.
that people project he would lose to anyway. He would just be better at D'ing up like the people he's usually going to be matched up against.
I think there's a lot of guards. I think there's a lot of guards that Steph would lose to in a 1v1 tournament now. Maybe not a lot, but definitely some.
Well,
whereas like if he had Marcus Smart level defense, there'd be a lot of like
he'd be the top guard. He'd be the top guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be him or MJ. MJ does have a DPOY.
Right, but he still wouldn't be like. But all that DPOY wouldn't help him guard Shaquille O'Neal in a one-on-one basketball tournament. You're like, that means nothing. Still,
he'd have to outshoot him. Yeah, he'd have to get.
That's what I'm saying is you can create a situation where a guy cannot guard 1 through 5, and he still could be the GOAT. I believe that to be the case, and I guess some people just have a rigid enough stance on it to where they're like, no, he couldn't. So that's
I think the two guys that people say could be the GOAT, MJ and LeBron. Those are the two who would probably win a 1v1 tournament. Like that. And it's not.
I think you can make a case for a lot of guys, right? There's some other like sleepers in there, right? Like
Shaq probably wouldn't. He wouldn't be versatile enough.
Paul George gets thrown out there randomly as like a guy who could be great in a one-on-one. There's some.
Yeah, not good enough though. Not good enough. Yeah,
sure. Probably not.
So I think that a lot of that is in basketball fans' minds. It does sort of like, and I think a lot of the reason people don't think like Giannis is better or Ja Morant is better is because they don't seem as versatile enough. Like Giannis can't shoot well enough, so he would lose to a prime LeBron or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think it's like people see that like you're a certain size and you're all around good and can do everything. Basically the kind of player that would do really well in a 1v1, have a deep bag. That's who people see as the GOAT. So a lot of people like use eye test and just say like, skill wise, I think this person has the most best combination of like well-rounded and impressive skill set. Whereas like they look at like a Shaq who has, a Shaq or a Steph or a Wilt Chamberlain who has like a really impressive skill set in one category, but is kind of under impressive in some other categories. And they don't really consider them for GOAT.
John, I got a question for you. Actually, TCAF has a question for you. I'm curious what you would say to this. Would you rather have a career like Charles Barkley and be in the Hall of Fame, or Robert Horry and have 7 rings?
When I was at one time an elite athlete, I was the 20th ranked underwater basket weaver in the world. Somebody asked me this, a reporter asked me this, and I said I would rather have championships than world records. Because, and this is a similar question in my mind, because somebody's always going to break your world record. But if you have a gold medal, you're always the gold medalist for that year, right? Like you'll never not be the gold medalist. I'm gonna say the same thing here. Like Chuck, there's a lot of guys like Chuck who have Hall of Fame careers. Tim Duncan is one of them. We don't forget him, but like, I mean, T-Mac is one of, right? And unless they stay relevant, they get forgotten. So from a legacy standpoint, it's like, are people going to remember Robert Horry? No, but they're probably not going to remember Chuck either unless he stays relevant. I mean, 30, 40 years from now, they're not going to remember Chuck. But guess what? Robert Horry's family or legacy or Robert Horry will still have. He'll still have those rings. So I'll take the rings.
People do remember the dynasty. I mean,
yeah,
there's a reason why we use that word. Like dynasties are literally, like, forget about sports for a second. Dynasties are literally things from like over millennia ago in a lot of cases where you're like, they had a real long stretch where they were real good and we'll basically never forget about it.
We still know that like the Celtics were super good in like
American
60s.
sports are not old enough really to like to give us some proof of concept of how long a dynasty can last. Because we do know the 60s. I mean, even I don't think like
well, we still know Murderers Row was really good. That's 100 years ago now, right? More than 100 years ago.
Bro, think about the Yankees. Yeah, like
we still think about Murderers Row as a dynasty.
All kinds of stuff. Like, my answer would have been the same. You already know I'm a Robert Horry guy. The only caveat I kind of have to this is like, I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if they're the best A/B test for this, but I'm pretty sure the average Hall of Famer probably makes more on his way to the Hall of Fame than some like role player to 7 rings. So especially if you averaged out the money
was
and
the
like
same,
everything else be the same, absolutely I'll take the 7 rings over a Hall of Fame career. But if the money's not the same, I mean,
maybe
like, why are we doing this in the first place? It's for money. I think it's easy to say as a fan that you would care more about like team success and stuff. Once you're actually put in those shoes and you're making the money, I think it's you make. I mean, John, I don't want to like throw you out, but like you were sponsored. You were a sponsored athlete.
Not
20th
ranked underwater basket weaver in the world.
You got sponsored by not your. I'm not going to talk bad about anybody who paid you to be an athlete, but like they probably weren't your first choice in brand sponsorship, but you took it because when the situation pops up, like, you're going to take the bag. Like, you don't know how long that career is going to last. You got to make money while you can make money. So that's the only caveat I have to this.
Not everybody wants to pay you. You're not a fit for every brand. You're not a fit for every team. You don't have forever as an athlete. So yeah, maybe if the money was like a lot better, then I would go with the Charles Barkley-like career. But the suckiest thing about having a Charles Barkley-like career is for the rest of your life, it's like every other day they talk about why great players don't win. They get asked about it, so they talk about it. So it just seems like they're whining, like, oh yeah, like not all the teams aren't always put together right, or not every owner wants to win a championship or whatever, right? Like and they're not lying. It's just like that's those guys, the T-Macs, the Charles Barkleys, the Allen Iversons. That's the stuff they get asked constantly. Karl Malone and John Stockton would get asked the same thing if they weren't basically reclusive hermits.
Yeah.
John got that NIL money, says TCAP. No, I'm too old for that NIL money. When I was in college, you could not get paid.
We're old balls. All right, John, we are winding down. I just asked the chat, by the way,
I got one more after, but go ahead.
Oh, sure. I just put it out there in a poll. As we're winding down, we play these games on PlayBack. Again, quick little plug here. After this wraps up in just the next like 5-10 minutes, maybe, I don't know how long the next little part John has prepared. But we go over to PlayBack. We'll be giving away at least one more gift card to DAP Sports for sports memorabilia there. $25 value, pretty cool. We do that at the end of just about every single stream we do on this channel, if this is your first time here. And we play some games for the people who are over there to win some bonus spots on the wheel. If you were here earlier, you saw the wheel. So yeah, I just asked the crowd, what game would you like to play? What games would you like to play for bonus spots on the PlayBack wheel? So jump on in the poll. And if you're like, what does any of that mean? Well, that's just all the more reason to make sure you head over to PlayBack. You can go now. Show's on over there as well. So yeah, we'll see you in PlayBack after the show. John, what you got for us?
Yeah, sorry, I was just catching up on the PlayBack chat here, seeing if there's anything I got to respond to here. No, not really. Roger says you don't have to guard 1 through 5 in the NBA. You just have to be a good defender. That part of being a good defender is the range of people you can guard for sure, because it's a switchers league. But I got one more thing. Okay, Casey, I'm going to caveat this and warn you and say we've got to be careful not to go too long on this because this could lead us down a rabbit hole. And I want to head over to PlayBack here in a little bit, but
all right, no rabbit holes. Let's go.
No rabbit holes. Maybe we'll just ask the chat, let them settle this. But here we go.
You ever play any football in your life?
Played football, but on some because my homies was playing. All my homies was trash, so they was on the B team. End up playing playing on the A team, making the A team, go to a game, mom's there at the game, hike, boom, 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 quarterback throws ball, I catch it, ha, 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 somebody hits me. But hit me, lit me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Walk off field, take helmet off, walk off, look mom, let's go. She looks, what? Let's go. Take shoulder pads off. I'm damn near half naked before I get to the end of the field. No, that's not my sport.
No way.
And I couldn't hit you back? No, that's not my sport.
You walked off mid-game.
Man, I'm out. It's not my sport. Not my sport. Football's
you were
not
like
my sport.
Antonio Brown.
No, I'm not. I'm not like, no, I didn't say you can't say that. But no,
that's what he did.
No, can't say that. Yeah, Pat Bev pod. Ron asked him about it. Ron asked him if he played any football. Pat Bev said, not my sport. Draymond Green actually has a similar story. I think he also got asked on the Pat Bev pod when he was at Michigan State. He played in the spring game and had like a similar thing happen. He lined up at tight end, and he was out like off the line on a play, and he just got jammed up by a cornerback. And like didn't move. But what Draymond said is like what nobody shows you in that video is that it was actually defensive holding. So we got a first down. So he got held, he says. So yeah, caveat. Casey, this leads me to ask you. So this question has been brought up on New Heights as well on Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce's podcast. So this is a question for you. This is a question for the chat. Do you think that there are NBA players who could be NFL players? And we can look at this two ways. We could say like they could go and we can go both ways with the leagues, but like they could go and hold their own right now today versus like if their career or life would have taken a different trajectory, they could be. Allen Iverson, like pretty famously was like a really heavy, like a highly recruited football player. And then like got in trouble his senior year, didn't get recruited, played basketball instead. But yeah, do you think there's more NBA players who could be NFL players or more NFL players who could be NBA players?
Ooh, well, there are more. I mean, interesting because there's just different size pools for each of those. So like there's more opportunity in the NFL because there's way more NFL players than NBA players. So there's a lot of guys and maybe some of them could play in the NBA.
Yeah.
So you got an advantage in one way that way. But then the other way, you have way fewer guys in the NBA, but a whole lot of different positions they could fit potentially over in the NFL, where basketball is more positionless, kind of looking for fewer archetypes, at least, let's say. Nobody's going to disagree with that take. So there's kind of advantages and disadvantages to both, the way you asked the question. But I got to think, that actually...
I guess I'm more thinking when I ask it as a percentage, like what percentage could cross over of each league. Mm-hmm. That's probably not a fair question though, because you got like
because you got like
a bunch of guys in the NFL who could not cross over. But yeah,
if we're looking at like skill positions or I don't know, that makes it kind of hard to.
I think the biggest. Go ahead.
I get the essence of the question.
Yeah.
I think that NBA skills would translate pretty well to certain positions in the NFL. So I think, probably NBA players going to have a higher hit rate trying out for NFL teams than the other direction. Mm-hmm. Just because, like you'd have to already cherry pick the best fits from NFL teams, the best players to fit NBA from, and then maybe we got a discussion. If we already knew the top 100 from both leagues of like how good they are at crossing over, then I'd say it's anybody's game. I have no idea. But in the truest sense, I think that a lot of NBA players I could see coming in being like a tight end, being maybe like a bigger corner, maybe even fitting in somewhere as like a linebacker.
Certain guys like Steph Curry could probably be a good quarterback in a different
I'm not gonna claim that unless I've seen them do it. Like that's such a weird position. Like.
I think Pat Mahomes is like maybe someone who could be an NBA player in a different career trajectory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like he could have done just about anything he wanted. Yeah.
Right. I think I'm kind of in the same position about like Steph. It's like there's something different. There's something different about you. Period. You probably could have done anything you wanted.
Fair enough. Yeah. Does Steph make a better quarterback than Mahomes does a point guard? I don't know.
As of now, no, because Mahomes actually played high school basketball. Steph never did anything but basketball. His dad played basketball. Yeah. So okay, TCAF says more NFL to NBA, in my opinion. All those dudes score touchdowns and dunk the football on the 10-foot goal post. What's your take on that, Casey?
This is the thing. I think there is more raw athleticism, just again, because there's just way more players. Like, so you have, again, even if you take those top 100, like I said, that's trying to like get the right view on this. Maybe you're going to have more athletic guys.
Yeah.
On the football side, that's just going to happen. But they're going to be from such weird positions. And I mean,
yeah,
God, I don't know. Maybe TCAF's right, honestly.
So
there's a lot of guys that don't even come to mind right away, like big corners and things that aren't even on the offensive side.
I'll tell you, yeah. So Travis and Jason Kelsey discussed this. It was a 6-minute video, so I didn't pull it in. Travis has said on multiple podcasts he thinks LeBron could be an NFL tight end, no problem. And like he's like he could probably cross over like later in life and still do it. He just has that kind of like freakishness. But he so Travis's position is he does think that there are NFL players who could cross over into the NBA. And he also thinks there are NBA players who could cross over into the NFL.
I mean, I don't think anybody's going to make that argument.
Nope. Jason's like, there are no NFL players who could play in the NBA. Like he does not. Again, his argument was a couple things.
It's great.
Number one,
we're talking about a white guy from the NFL. I think a lot of the black guys.
He says he's like, maybe because I'm around a bunch of fat guys all day, but I just don't think, but like his first argument, which I don't agree with, is that he's like, if they could, they would. Why would you play in the NFL if you could be in the NBA, right? Like if they could, they would. That was his first argument.
Terrible argument.
So there's some terrible arguments I think Travis made as well. He called out certain guys. So he called out Jimmy Graham, who's not a current player, but Jimmy Graham, who's like 6'7", like pretty big.
I think he actually did get signed the other day. I think he is a current player now.
Okay, well, so we got Jimmy Graham, who's like 36. Jimmy Graham.
It's crazy. I think he ended up back on the Saints. It's training camp, so you have.
He called out Tyreek Hill and he called out Devontae Adams. I think those are all really awful examples of guys who could play in the NBA. Like, could they go and hold their own? What's that?
Tyreek's real short on an NBA.
Tyreek's 5'10", and is he athletic? Yes, he's athletic. Nobody's arguing he's fast, but that raw speed. So there's a couple things that athletic people do in the NFL, and they do it maybe like, first of all, raw speed, faster. Yes, they're the fastest of any sport. That doesn't help him very much on a basketball court. He's got to do a lot more lateral movement. He's got to jump, which he does jump now, but he's got to jump at probably maybe
as
another
far as
level.
a receiver goes, he does a lot of lateral movement too. He's kind of a running back style receiver, but point taken still. Yeah. But it's 5'10", by the way.
He's 5'10", so he's going to be guarding guards. A guy like I don't think that all that athleticism would be enough for like him to be able to guard Steph Curry without fouling out in the first quarter, or like even Fred VanVleet without like he probably could run around for a little while, but then also just the raw endurance. So a pure crossover, I do think like if we're just talking like somebody's got to go today, the best kind of person who could just go like maybe hold their own on a basketball court is probably a tight end or maybe a defensive end or something like that.
It would be a guy like the first guy that comes to mind is like a DK Metcalf, like a prototype receiver, like a big bodied.
Yeah. So he said Devontae Adams, which I think is a bad example. DK Metcalf is a better example, but we have seen DK in an all-star game. And it's like he's raw. He's just very raw. He could probably go out there and not be embarrassed. What?
We've seen DK in basketball?
Yes, in an all-star game.
Okay.
And he's very raw. Like he can dunk, he can jump and do all, but like he's like
maybe it's another lifetime kind of thing, but that's the kind of guy who would translate.
He could maybe go out there for a few minutes and not embarrass himself, but he'd probably catch some fouls. He'd look awkward. I think there's probably, if we're saying like who could go out and not embarrass themselves, yet less without a life, probably more NBA players, just because of the body archetype. Like they're already big, strong, athletic guys. They could go out and you can hide them a little bit more in an 11-man game.
That's what I mean. You're going to be able to find positions that they don't need to like, because you can't. I don't think there's not a guy I can think of in the NBA who I would say they can go out and be an NFL receiver, for example. I'm like, that's such a specific
maybe a
skill set.
WR5, like
like your Tyreek Hill comp. Like Tyreek Hill could not play in the NBA. I don't think that. at all. Tyreek Hill
No.
would have a hard time playing in the NCAA, like basketball. It's just that's where he belongs size wise with the guards, really.
Yeah.
But then like again, I don't think anybody in the NBA could do his job. I don't know if there's anybody in the NBA quite fast enough. I know there's fast guys, but I don't know if there's anybody quite fast enough who could also pull together like the jumping, catching, coordination, not to mention like receiver is a position where you need decently high like football IQ too, which is not something that I think people NBA,
I think
that have to be able to do it all.
I think there's some guys who could slot in as like possessional receivers, like oh my gosh, who's the guy for the Viking? Like guys who aren't as fast, who are like just go out there, run a good route, and like catch the ball. Like they could probably translate to that.
That's the thing,
relatively
though, is what I'm saying
easily.
is like who would you just have a feeling could be a great route runner from the NBA? I'm like, where would we even get those
probably
skills to
high
judge
IQ?
that?
Like I mean, LeBron comes to mind. Like Giannis probably could, right?
But
Like
you're making the assumption. I'm not making the assumption in either sport that their high IQ for their sport translates to high IQ in the other sport. Otherwise, then we have a whole different discussion. Because if that's the case, there's a lot of NFL players who could do it.
yeah, like I think it's like how quick could they pick it? Like if you had to throw them into a game, and it's like how quick could they pick it up? I think there's more NFL players who could slot in somewhere, or more NBA players who could slot in somewhere, simply because of like the body archetype. You can hide them a little bit more. You could do, if we're talking about like different career trajectory, I think I'd probably still sit in the same place again because of the body. So like he brought up Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham played 4 years of college basketball. He's probably the best basketball player in the NFL, and he was insignificant. Like he got 4 points a game. Tyreek Hill, awful example. DK Metcalf is probably someone maybe in a different life who could have been, but a lot of that depends on his touch. His position in football, I can't tell how good his like touch would be. You know what I mean? Because at 6'4", he couldn't just be like a crazy athletic good guy. He would have to be skilled,
Right. I don't think he'd be like if I had to take three guys from random from the NFL, it'd be somebody like a DK, somebody like a Sauce Gardner, who's like an elite like shutdown corner. Who I think a lot of those skills actually, a lot of the defensive skills for a corner specifically, I think they would translate fairly well, at least playing defense in the NBA. And that guy's just an awesome athlete. I think he'd figure some of it out too. And maybe a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's just this freak, physical guy, super tall for a quarterback. Again, if we're kind of taking that IQ thing, like to be a quarterback, you have to have a certain football IQ anyway. Like maybe that's the guy whose IQ translates more to basketball then, and he's kind of more of the like maestro.
I would actually almost exclusively go with quarterbacks. I think Pat Mahomes. I think
they're just not the size.
Pat Mahomes is the kind of guy who probably could have done anything.
Yeah, but you're excluding the size. Like Mahomes isn't a very big dude either.
He's he's what, 6'1"? Yeah, he's got the price of entry, and that's kind of what I think about him. I'm like, he seems like a Steph to me, right? Like would he be that skilled? Maybe not, but like that's his archetype.
I think I'd rather have 6'4", 244-pounder Anthony Richardson, like full head of steam. I mean, again, like
6'4" is not that tall either. You know what I mean? Like
but that's
like
3 big inches.
Really highly skilled at 6'4".
But yeah, even more skilled at 6'1", though. Right,
and that's what I think Pat Mahomes is. Yeah, just really highly skilled. Like I think he's the kind of guy who could have done anything.
We're translating some skill from one sport to the other, so maybe we're going down a rabbit
hole.
No,
I think so. Yeah, but this is an observation I've made in life. Is like there's an archetype of athlete of people who throw things at other things, and they're good at that in every sport they do. So like people like that friend you had, you might have been this friend, that friend you had that like if you're like, oh, we're gonna throw rocks at that like boat or that pole over there, and like first person to hit it wins. Like there's like that friend you have who's just like they just have a touch, right? Like they're good at throwing stuff at other stuff. Those are the same people who are good shooters in basketball. Those are the same people who are good like quarterbacks, usually pitchers, right? Like to me, Steph Curry and Pat Mahomes sort of read as that. They're those guys who are like really creative, really just like have this body control that's kind of insane and are good at throwing things at other things. So yeah, I go Pat with it for sure. Anthony Richardson. I haven't seen enough of him to know. Someone like DK Metcalf, same kind of thing. It's like he's got the athleticism, but at 6'4", he's got to have like really good touch and really good, like he's got to have really good a lot of other things, Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Graham's probably your best bet, or like a Gronk. But I don't know. I don't know if those guys are like 6'8". You know what I mean?
Those guys are also incredibly old at this point. I mean, we're
Right.
talking they would
Oh,
not play in the NFL.
I mean, I'm going back because I kind of feel like I have to. You know.
I mean, in their prime is a different thing for sure. But I mean, there's
Yeah.
other tight ends who would serve well. You know.
I mean, NBA, I can think of a lot more guys who could slot in a lot more places if they had a different life. You know what I mean? Like I think a John Morant probably could be an incredible NFL
that goes
player.
back to my original point on the discussion is there's just way more different ways you could use players on a football team. So
and NBA players already have
the
a certain
NBA, there's probably a way you could find to use them in the NFL, but that's kind of skirting the juice of the question, I think. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Well, I think a big part of it is NBA players already have a certain archetype of body athleticism skill set that translates to kind of a lot of things, you know? And so it's oh yeah, you could use them in a different life. John Morant probably could have been a DB, probably could have been a receiver, you know?
A lot of them, I don't know. I mean, I don't know perfectly, but I don't know if a lot of them have the raw speed. I think speed is a really big.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But
Yeah.
especially the bigger
not
guys
now.
that
Yeah,
are,
maybe not now because they didn't develop that way, but have the potential for that kind of speed. Yeah.
Right.
You know
And that's
what I
the same
mean?
thing that I'm saying with a DK. I'm like, well, yeah, he's obviously worked to be a wide receiver in the NFL his whole career. If he
Yeah.
was working to be a small forward or a shooting guard, maybe in the NBA, I'm sure he.
Yeah. The thing you're asking about speed is the same question I'm asking about touch. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
This is hard to tell. But yeah, I hear you. So Jason Kelsey's other argument was essentially once I sat courtside, this is the argument you definitely won't agree with, but I'm I think that you undervalue athleticism of NBA players a lot. He was setting courtside at an NBA game was the first time I was oh, these guys are unreal athletic. He's the what I saw in athleticism in the NBA, I have not seen in an NFL uniform.
Right.
Another level of athleticism.
Do you think
he's thinking about a different thing though? You got to think he's an offensive lineman. He's not thinking about raw speed, and raw speed doesn't show up as much on the basketball court. He's thinking about footwork, body work, body control, ability to turn, jump, turn, all of that kind of put together.
Right.
So he's looking at a different sort of thing, and then the speed at which they do that. You know what I mean? The quickness.
For sure. Yeah, it's just it's. Yeah, I think there's building blocks from an NBA point of view for sure, because I'm not discounting their physicality, their physical attributes and things like that. It's just, again, we don't know how these things would apply, so it's really strange. Because there's probably a lot of guys who could perform the acts of an O lineman. Even you're would they ever? Nobody's ever going to pay them to be an O lineman on the team, though. They just don't look like an O lineman. You know what I mean? How many NBA players are?
I mean, Shaq is big enough to be an O lineman. Yeah.
Right, but could he bend over enough to do that? No, no way. You know,
when he was younger, we can't really think about older Shaq, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Why? Why would he? You know what I mean? When he's got the skill set.
This is what I mean. There's no body types that strike me as that would be a clear cut offensive lineman, and yeah, but okay, they could play corner, or they could play safety, or they could play. The most
common one people say is tight ends. Draymond Green looked like he could be a tight end. LeBron looks like he could be a tight end. That's the most common one that people say they've got
exactly
kind of body art.
It's going up and getting the ball. It's a lot of what the tight end game is. It's a lot of close quarters, in the box stuff,
kind of stuff you do in basketball. Yeah,
exactly. If the question was, would NFL tight ends cross over to being NBA power forwards better than NBA power forwards would cross over to being NFL tight ends, I think we have a lot more clear cut discussion there.
Yeah,
but it's just too weird with too many variables, and we're assuming way too much, trying to take these guys a quarterback who's 6'1", being yeah, he'd be great because of you're maybe, yeah, I guess we're all in.
I actually would normally not say it about anyone else other than Pat Mahomes.
Just Mahomes, and I get it. He's a freak.
Yeah, it's the Mahomes effect. Yeah. And I would say the same thing about Steph Curry. It's I almost think any sport he could wanted to do, he probably could have.
But you're also, I would say, you might be underestimating are there guys who could fill the running back skill set? Because that's one of the positions where height works against you as a running back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of NBA players who'd be
weird, right?
Fred VanVleet would probably be the closest, but he's still.
Whereas I would take your Pat Mahomes argument and be I bet Christian McCaffrey, put him on a basketball court, he's gonna figure out a way, if he had trained to do it, kind of thing, especially. You know what I mean?
How tall is he?
He's gonna figure out a way to not be useless, I think. If
How
Mahomes
tall
can
is
do
he?
it, I think.
Well, so here's the thing. I do think just the sheer athleticism and competitiveness probably makes it so that either way, like the top guys in either sport could figure out a way to like get out there and not embarrass themselves, right? And not be useless, not be
Not
a hole.
embarrass themselves for sure. Yeah,
Right.
but
actually,
like,
like in a different lifetime, make it to that league.
Right.
Christian McCaffrey's probably a little too short.
He's 5'11",
unless his skill set was like insane, right? So at 5'11", he would have to be a defensive dog and like have incredible shooting capability. Like shooting is the hardest thing for me to tell what NBA players, what NFL players would be good at it, other than a guy like Pat Mahomes.
No.
Pat Mahomes, I'm like, I know he'd be good at it if he worked on it. You know, like
and even that,
yeah,
maybe, but it's still
and he did play high school ball, so you kind of know a little bit, but like, yeah, I hear you. So this is interesting. TCAF says, more NFL guys could go to the NBA, in my opinion. All those dudes score touchdowns, dunk the football on a 10-foot goalpost. I think it's kind of strange that you're like, the standard for guys who could play basketball is if you can dunk. Like, if you can dunk, you could probably play.
No, and I don't think that is either. If that were the case, I think there are definitely more NFL
There's a bunch
players
of NFL players
that can dunk than even NBA players. Like, there's probably more.
In raw numbers, maybe, because there's just so many receivers. Yeah,
exactly. That's why I'm like, no matter how you look at this, it's hard to be like, you'd have to go position from one sport to a position in another sport, because then you'll at least get a similar amount of guys. And you go like, what do they look like? And like point guards to quarterbacks.
There's certain NFL positions that like it would just, because part of basketball is like you've got to be a little positionless. You got to be able to like offensive line. There's not a comp position because it's like,
that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. There's not a comp position because it's like, no, you've just got to be more versatile than that to play any position, you know?
Right. Whereas football does the exact opposite thing.
Right.
You're looking for freaks to do 1, 2, 3 things really well.
It wants your spider graph to look a certain way, like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the people we talk about as the best basketball players ever have the most balanced spider graphs, really.
Right. Which is even in the NFL, the guys like a Christian McCaffrey, who probably have the best spider graph, look like balanced spider graph. Again, he's going to be built for football. He's 5'11". He's not built for the NBA. I do think there's a little bit of that going the other direction too. Even like with LeBron, I think it would be crazy if somebody was like, LeBron could step in and be the #1 tight end of all time. You know, he'd be just like, that would be a crazy take. He could have played tight end in the NFL probably. I don't think that's a bad take. Like,
but
that's not that big of a bar.
I think that LeBron take is, I mean, LeBron's got the body for it too. And your main argument against Mahomes is that he doesn't have the body for it. My main thing is that I'm like, I think if you look at like the top guy who I see as Patrick Mahomes right now, I'm like, I think he could have done like just about anything. LeBron probably could have done just about anything he wanted to. He's got a different body than Mahomes does, but like, I think Mahomes, like, you just the pure creativeness and athleticism, ability to do things off balance, off both feet, different hands, not looking. I'm like, yeah, I think you kind of could have done whatever you wanted, you know?
He would be a really good distributor. I think of that. Like, definitely.
Could be
probably
a mellow ball.
You're probably right.
This is another thing TCAF said. This is the last thing we'll get into, and then we'll head over to Playback for the after party. When you guys get bored, please just Google John Stockton's career and his games played per year, all-time leader in assists and steals, and it isn't even close. Then YouTube old players talking about him. I didn't bring this up because I didn't want to do the homer take. When you're talking about like best positional talent has an argument for GOAT, I'm like, well, then where are we at on John Stockton? Because he is head and shoulders above those things. TCAF, I don't need to do that when I get bored, buddy. John Stockton is my favorite player of all time. I have already been down that rabbit hole several times. I go down that rabbit hole probably quarterly, even though I've been down it already. It's a good time. I suggest it to everybody.
I think he's underrated. I'm not trying to insert John Stockton into the GOAT discussion, but
no, I'm not either.
But I would be curious to think if we rated our top.
You would rate him higher because you'd say at a certain skill set he was the best. Yeah.
And I think that is something that I'm just going to be consistent on, even when it comes to guys on the other side too. Like I also agree with your Wilt take to a large degree too, because that same thing, like he just outperforms people most like him by a whole degree of separation,
right?
Order of magnitude,
a whole order of magnitude different. Yeah.
Like it's just a different ball game, but he's doing the same kind of stuff that other people do, just way better.
He's just doing it so much better that it's insane. Yeah,
that's something people underrate. I think it's not all about horizontal scaling. A lot of it is vertical, and a guy like LeBron obviously has done both in his career. He does everything on the court, and
Yeah.
he does almost all of it better than
I
almost
think there are
anybody else.
certain skill sets. So I think something that comes into play, and we should just hit this maybe on another episode, but maybe a little teaser here. I think something that comes into play that I'm interested to get your take on a future episode is like, but certain skill sets are definitely more important than other skill sets still, right? Like John Stockton, maybe best assister of all time, maybe best stealer of all time. That can't be nearly as important as being like the best scorer of all time, right? Like,
it's impossible to separate. Again, basketball is not a 1v1 sport.
or
It's
like,
impossible to separate a player.
You said like,
But
when
you're
you said,
asking me the question, I think it's impossible to separate one player from the situation that he's in on his team. John Stockton, in a lot of ways, is not a victim, but he's a product of his environment, having Karl Malone on his team. You know what I mean? Like in an alternate universe, maybe John Stockton scores a few more points, has a few less assists without a guy like that on the squad. You know, like, I think there's a case to be made for that.
Yeah. So Aaron Hill, on your same argument, guys like this would definitely be in the discussion for GOAT. Jerry West, Kyrie. Most people say Kyrie is the best ball handler and finisher of all time in the NBA.
Most anti-Semitic player in the league.
Yeah, he's leading that category. I just say, like, if Kyrie is the best finisher of all time, that's just not nearly as important as like other things, right? Like,
and I agree.
Score, you know,
but also,
I mean?
how many guys lead 2 career stats?
Yeah.
A couple?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's my case for John Stockton. Wilt leads 1. LeBron leads 1. That's, I mean,
maybe we do a power rankings episode of just like overall at some point, or maybe we do a few of them even. Like
being high in other ones that helps. I mean, yeah, LeBron's high in a lot of them. That's.
Let me ask you this as kind of a segue into moving on to playback, because we got to get over to playback here.
Yep.
But John Stockton, gut reaction, all time, like ballpark, where does he land? Top 25.
I mean, for
top
most
50,
people,
top 75, top
I
100?
think he's not even in the top 20.
No, for you guy,
definitely not in the top 25. For
you
me, I think he is in the top 20. That's probably my
20.
gut reaction is ballpark top 20.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, I think that I was going by 25. I felt
I
okay
might go top 15 with him. I put him over a lot of people that like other people would think is crazy, but that's also because I'm like, he's my favorite player ever, so I can't not have that
that's part of that's part of it. But yeah, maybe that's something we'll look at later. We'll do that on another episode, a little bit more of a ranking system. That's good off-season content. We can get into that. Anyway, for everybody's sanity, we need to get over to playback. This show is already 2.5 hours long, John.
One more $25 gift card. We're giving away a $25 gift card. So Aaron, TCAF, all y'all that are still with us on YouTube, head over to Playback. The link is in the description, playback.tv/triplecross. And we are going to give away another $25 gift card over there. Should we just like end the YouTube? Like, I feel like you guys heard it. You guys know where to go.
That's where we're going. We're going to be doing some fun games over there to earn a couple bonus entry spots on the wheel. Then we're going to do that final wheel spin. We're going to get all that done in about the next 10, 15 minutes or so. So head on over now. You still got time. If you're listening on audio, try to join us on a YouTube live stream. They're pretty fun. You could ask the people who are here right now, if you were here right now, or you could just see for yourself, and then join us over on Playback, and then maybe you win yourself a gift card. So yeah, if you're listening on audio platforms, we appreciate you. We don't get to interact with you as much as we'd like to, so leave us a review so we know what you think of the show. Rate us 5 stars just to help us out a little bit, and join us on YouTube whenever you can. If you're on YouTube already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode. And hit that bell notification icon so that you get noties, as they call them in the YouTube universe.
That's what the YouTubers call them.
When we go live, you won't miss a live show, which means you won't miss a chance to win some sports memorabilia from DAP Sports, because that is our partner in our prize giveaways. John, did I miss anything, or are we ready to go over to Playback?
You got it. All right. Peace. That's the show. Head over to the after party, playback.tv/triplecross. Bye.
Smell you later.